Hello, everyone. It is Thursday night, time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and you are wearing a keffiyeh.
I am. Honestly, I am so thankful now that I have this in this studio because of how cold that Jason's been keeping this room. Like, it's really cold in here. Right. And I still don't like sleeves. So this has worked out really well that this has been in here.
No, that's great. And of course, it is Thursday night. It is revolutionary change. It is our slow night of the 3 nights, but we'll see how things ultimately
Is that
work.
true? Is Thursday slow?
Well, I saw that Rania and Crystal were doing something a little while ago that went live like an hour ago. So there's that audience. And Status Quo went live earlier. Hopefully we're getting that audience that'll come by. And it's watermelon time, as David Hunter said. So we're obviously happy to be here this evening, and we want to warm you guys up since obviously the Status Quo crowd, I believe, is joining us. There is a very important story coming out of my home state of New Jersey. Jen, you obviously wanted to cover this right off the bat. So
yeah, I mean, the truth is this was new to me until I saw Jordan's report. Or the report on Status Quo. I mean, this is unbelievable. I mean, it isn't. It's not unbelievable. We have water issues all over the country, but just another water problem where people just don't have it, in New Jersey.
Yeah, and of course, the other problem with the water supply is that this becomes an even more detrimental issue when we've been telling everyone for the longest time that if you think it's going to stop in Flint, if you think it's going to stop in East Palestine, if you think it's going to stop in East Chicago, if you think it's going to stop in Jackson, Mississippi, it's not. It's going to go everywhere. Because in the end, we have reached a point where capitalism has passed the point of no return. It is now trending towards its extinction because there have been no guardrails in place for way too long. And you can make various arguments about Reagan's responsibility, Clinton's responsibility. At the end of the day, we have not done what is necessary. And the whole experience over the last decade with Bernie and so forth is just a sort of a microcosm of the bigger problem, which is everything is for profit. And if they feel that an area is not profitable enough, they will do what they have to do in order to either get them out of there, change ownership, etc. And if that means you have to kill people in the process to get what you want, well, that's what people do. People in power will do that. Look at DuPont. They've been doing that for what, 150 years?
Well, it's a capitalism problem, which is why it doesn't matter who's sitting in the White House. It really doesn't matter. Yes. It's just gotten progressively worse as capitalism has got more and more unfettered. And it's gotten progressively worse in that our infrastructure is getting older and older and older. And the money that should be going to fixing that isn't. And that is one of those areas. And when I look around here in Broward County, it's what I call de facto corruption. I know there's corruption because I know that there's money, and yet I know that I'm not seeing infrastructure be maintained. So if there's money, and there's not infrastructure being maintained, where's it going? Right? It's going somewhere. Someone's getting it. So that's the same problem we have. All of these cities have we have 60, 70-year-old pipes down here in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine? Right. So some of these cities up north are dealing with infrastructure that probably hasn't been properly maintained because of corruption for decades. I mean, and so there's a problem. And apparently there was a burst pipe. There was a leak. And so they had to shut off the water in Paterson. You have that story?
Clip from Status Quo. Here we go.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. So we're basically going on 3 days without water. Half of my city doesn't have water. So for the people that's asking, Paterson had a water main break on Friday. I believe Friday morning. Not sure what time, but I know when I got up for work in the morning, we did not have no water. So yeah, basically the main water outbreak is more serious than they expected. So yeah, my neighbors, all of us, everybody over here. So yeah, they told us on Friday it was only going to be off for a few hours. Friday turned into Saturday. Saturday turned into today, Sunday. And now they're saying we might have water on Monday. So we have places over here that's letting people take showers. you could fill up your water in places and stuff like that. But for most of us, a lot of people don't have, no shower water, toilet's not working, no water at all. Like you have.
I mean, just the idea that you're even facing. We talked about this earlier, and I would, again, for those of you who don't know, I am from New Jersey, and I know Paterson very well.
Paterson, New Jersey, guys. This is happening in Paterson, New Jersey.
The interesting thing about where this is taking place is that it is a very brown working class area surrounded by very not so brown wealthy areas. And I said to Jen that if this happened in Franklin Lakes, for example, I said
that to you. I said if that happened in one of those fancier neighborhoods, I bet they'd be on that much faster.
Sure. I mentioned Franklin Lakes because that's the community where The Real Housewives of New Jersey is filmed. And you better believe that within a matter of hours that the problem would be dealt with accordingly. Because in the end, money talks and justice walks.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how inconvenient it is.
I didn't even know that, Josie.
Oh, that's new. And that's also not surprising that would be a neighborhood that would be overlooked and neglected and not have the proper infrastructure.
Perhaps intentionally?
Perhaps, well, I mean, it's just such corruption. And we know you see it worse in the neighborhoods with more, people that are vulnerable communities. That's where you see it the worst. That's where they get away with it. Like, it is so inconvenient to have your water turned off for people who are used to having running water. It is so inconvenient, even having that done for an hour or 2 hours. We've had that where you'll get the sign saying we're going to have to shut off the water for the work to be done, whatever it is. And now they're on how many days? 5 days.
I mean, even
without running water. You can't flush toilets.
In the community that I live in, the water will get shut off if maintenance has to be done. But we're talking about an hour to 2 hours at most. You're talking about several days that people don't have access to running water. Again, this is not on purpose. This is not by accident. And in fact, the fact that there is a Palestinian population of a sizable nature in Paterson, to me, screams intention. Everything that's going on right now, and I mean everything, is intention. And
but just so much of it is just so many years of just negligence based on corruption and not maintaining things. And really that the corruption part is very intentional. But I don't think that anybody is sitting there and thinking, all right, we're going to, purposefully have a water main break. But they certainly aren't rushing to help fix it in the areas that aren't their wealthy constituents.
That's true. Michelle, Cory Booker represents the entire state of New Jersey, unfortunately. He was the mayor of Newark, which is probably about 15 minutes from Paterson, I would say. 15, 20 minutes, give or take. But they're all clustered in North Jersey. So many of these cities, smaller areas, are areas that are predominantly working class and predominantly, Black and brown communities like Paterson, like Irvington, like Newark, like Elizabeth. These communities are created to serve the Waynes and the Franklin Lakes and the Saddle Rivers and the Morristowns of the world. That's what they're there for. And as I said, those communities that are thriving, nothing of the sort would ever be tolerated, especially in North Jersey, not a chance. But in a community like Paterson, especially if there's a sizable Palestinian population, forget about it.
Well, it's subjugated people.
Say that again.
I just said it's just subjugated people. It could be any subjugated people. The fact that you have Palestinians living in what also appears to be a Black neighborhood or whatever, part of town, whatever this is. Is it a suburb? I don't know how big Paterson is, but obviously
it's a small city.
Okay. So obviously it's, lower, income, more vulnerable communities.
100%. No, Paterson is very much a working class city. Period.
That's good to know. Thank you. That puts it in perspective. Okay, continue.
jugs of water and, cases of water. But yeah, for the most part, it can be worse, but this is currently what's going on. And for the people that don't have family houses to go to and stuff like that, or the elderly people, I really hope you guys are okay. But yeah, y'all, it's just crazy the things that's going on in this world right now. Like, we're gonna be good though. Praying for everybody right now. Love y'all.
Yeah. Are we surprised?
Yeah, they just don't. No, we're not surprised. So, guys, if you are not familiar with Status Quo, you should definitely go and check out this over there. And there's much better coverage than this little excerpt.
But we want to keep people aware of exactly what's going on. In this case, the vulnerable communities are going to continue to be pushed into a corner, which again should come as no surprise. And that, of course, leads us to what is a very important story that obviously is developing. But again, it's not one of those stories that I don't think anybody couldn't have seen coming. I think it was simply inevitable that the sort of police state was going to take over the nation's capital and is going to create, these sort of National Guard situations. Obviously, those that want to joke around about big balls and the guy who was working for Doge and was attacked in the streets. And again, that's terrible. But the more I look into that, the more I'm thinking this might have been a setup from day one, because in the end, the powers that be, whether it's Trump or anyone that is surrounding him, they know that the general public is getting restless. They also know that the general public is going to potentially try to march on the city regarding Israel. And so what are they doing now? They're sending in the National Guard to basically march the streets of Washington, D.C., particularly in the working class and vulnerable areas of the city, even the rough and tough areas of the city, where they are, trying to make a point, trying to set precedent, acceptance of this police state that they're bringing down on us. If they'll have it in the eastern part of Washington, they're not going to do it in the northwestern part of Washington, for example. But, just trying to put that.
I'm sure it's definitely neighborhood specific, but this is something that's been in the works for a long time, not necessarily the taking over DC, but all of the cop cities. And if people are not aware about cop cities, I believe there's more than 100 of them at this point that have popped up all over the country that are basically urban warfare training centers for law enforcement. But they have been preparing. This goes back to actually Ferguson, is when I think was the beginning of the planning phases of being able to stifle civil unrest at the level that they feel they need to. And then obviously after that, you had Black Lives Matter, and it's just been snowballing. So yeah, this is the plan. Now, Trump has obviously a much different authority in DC than he does in other states. So it will be interesting to see. Like, there are certain things that, and I don't know enough about this, by the way, like what is allowed and not allowed in the district versus, because there's definitely he has authority in a way in that district that he doesn't in other municipalities.
Well, as Molly points out, this should come as no surprise to anybody that the intention, of course, is to create this sort of police state, because, again, the people are rising up and the powers that be are, again, what do you get when you spend or you allocate capital to the tune of $1 trillion for defense? Well, defending the nation's capital from people who are going to be creating unrest, well, this is one of those reasons. Again, the whole thing with big balls, it's just a distraction. It's an excuse. They were looking for a reason to get the National Guard in the streets.
Crime is at low. Crime is at a low. Crime has been decreasing. Certainly violent crime has been decreasing for decades now. And actually, violent crime in DC has been way down.
They say it's at
so there's no reasonable. That's the problem. Like of course, he can declare anything an emergency. That's the point of that power, that executive power, where it's just his decision that something is an emergency, and so he can do that. But crime is down, so they're making that up.
Well, he's been going absolutely insane in terms of how he's conducting business, and he's not slowing down. Like, he's just not. He is going for the throat with everything that he does. And these are just situations where everyone wants to point the finger at him. He is merely taking advantage of a system that was ripe for the takeover by somebody like this. That's the thing. You could call it whatever you want. You want to call it a form of fascism? You could. But again, it doesn't really matter necessarily, if that's a problem, because at this point, Trump doesn't care. I just feel bad for those that are still hanging around thinking that this guy is somehow going to make life better for this country. No, the only thing that Trump ever did good is that he just kind of exposed the entire system for what it is. That to me is really the essence of what his legacy is going to be. There are those who want to be fed fascism in a very kind and gentle way that the neoliberal establishment is all the more willing to do so. Whereas somebody like Trump will say, we're totally going there for the oil. Oh, we totally have to stop the crime because the brown people are evil. It's like, he's just saying the things that for a very long time were typically being protected, and now they're not being protected. And that's why he has become, again, Trump's legacy is January 6th, Yaha? No. Again, that's ridiculous.
His legacy is the Back to the Future sequel of what has happened to this country.
It's
his legacy
horrific.
is turning us into the complete farce that we have become. That'll be his legacy. It'll be like the last hand to touch that whole bag of crap.
Well, it's the Biff horrific future. That's basically what
it is.
That's what we have reduced ourselves to, is a world where, again, that's who Biff's 1985 alternate universe character was based off of. He was based off of Trump. Like, that is a known thing. And that's going back to 1988, 1989, where, Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale were asked, like, who did you model Biff after? Anybody? He said, yeah, Donald Trump. Like, so is it really a surprise? I don't think so.
He turns it like he walks through the world like waving a magic wand, turning everything to shit. And he thinks he's turning it to gold. So it's, we have very different perspectives, I suppose, on what is shit and what is gold. But that's what it is. He just walks through life just turning everything into trash.
And that is why our country is falling apart at the rate that it's falling apart right now. Colin, do you have anything specific to DC? Or do I have to grab it?
And I don't know if he's there. Colin, I'm not sure if he's there, because I had asked him if you're choppy. Like, you look like kind of like you keep sort of breaking up, and I don't think it's on my end.
Well, I thought it was on your end, and then evidently, according to Colin, it's not.
Right, but then he didn't. Oh wait, now he's back to.
Yeah, he says that.
Okay, he says we're fine, both of us fine. So for me, you look choppy.
And you were chopping like crazy just a minute ago. I freaking hate that shit. But you know what? We're working with a limited budget here, guys.
It wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't matter. We have the best internet like possible that you could have where we are. It is what it is. Like, it's not, you can't throw more money at it to fix it. That's not the problem.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not here anyway.
But we're working with what we've got. And Colin, do you have anything, or do I have to grab it? That's funny. You really think that that's no? Okay. So as far as DC is concerned, DC locked. All right. So apparently the National Guard is in the street right now. That's what we're hearing.
Yeah.
And this is unbelievable. Colin, I'm sending you a text right now, so let's cue this up. They're really driving through the streets of DC in military tanks.
Yeah, I don't think, you know what, he wasn't satisfied enough with his poorly attended military parade. So he's all about demonstrating that he's the man. He wants everyone to know he's the man. So there is that.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And this is a show of authority. This and I have never been a fan of the nationalistic stuff. I don't like it. But a lot of people are into that crap. This is just him. He's basically just showing his dick here. That's it. He's like coming in, swinging that around like, look at me. Yeah. Is there a particular clip you had that you wanted to show with what's going on there?
Here we go.
Okay.
These are your own fucking citizens. These are homeless people. You guys are fucking crook. Don't let them do this to you. It's abusive to you, and now you're gonna get fucked when you're fucked up and you have to go to the VA and they cut all your services. Refuse now. Do not do this. You have the obligation to refuse unlawful orders. Okay?
But what are they doing there? But what is it they're doing there? I mean, it's a show. It's a, but what are they doing?
They're intimidating is what they're doing.
No, I know they're intimidating, but what is the rationale for this ridiculousness when we know crime is down? So, it's nobody's even buying that this is by any way a necessary thing to do. Nobody believes that.
No, but it doesn't matter if it is. That's really
no, it doesn't matter if it is, but I'm just curious what their stated purpose is that they think they're going to achieve and how that will work. Because when you bring in a military to me, that means you should have some sort of strategic goal. Like when you employ military action, there should be like a plan, a strategy, a setup. Like you're on a mission. I don't feel like they have a mission other than just being there.
No, they do.
What? What are they? But that's what I'm saying. What is it?
The mission is to create a police state. That's the goal.
Exactly. Yes,
but basically strike fear into the hearts of every citizen to say you will not fuck with this government no matter what we do. And that's basically what they're saying. He doesn't care. He's not long for this.
It's also this too, and I agree with all of it. It's a distraction from what's going on. It's okay. I'm not going to release the Epstein files. Okay. I have not created peace anywhere, even though I want the Nobel Prize. All these things are going on. I'm juggling all these balls of shit in the air. So let me distract everybody by
balls of shit.
Well, and this is all this. Have you noticed every time anyone or the issue of Epstein files or other things start to come up, there's another thing. Because it's all right. They're just wag the dog. That's all they do. And this is just another one of those. Now, I don't think it's going to get very far any further than it got in LA, to be honest with you. But he has more authority here.
Keep saying what you're saying. I'm going to jump for a second because my end is very choppy and it's annoying the shit out of me. So,
okay. Well, I really don't know what I'm saying about it. And I don't know enough about the regulations and the rules in DC. And I'm not sure exactly how it works. I do know that Gavin Newsom was like a complete pussy and didn't say anything about the president sending in troops into his state because Gavin Newsom's just a pussy. But I don't know exactly where they landed there. Do we know the end result? Did they pull out? They're all gone now. There's no more troops in LA. So it was like a stunt. And this to me is a similar thing. Are you there? Are you going to chat?
I am. Unfortunately, I've been telling Colin, and he's clearly whatever he's seeing is not what I'm seeing. But for whatever reason, the connection is horrifically bad. And
well, it's not. I don't see it other than you sometimes look choppy, but sometimes it's on my end.
No, for a moment it's fine, and then the next minute it's, it just grabs. I mean, I'm not seeing anything as far as the connection is concerned that there's an issue.
Well, it's fine right now, so take advantage of it.
I will take advantage of it. That's like we said.
Never thought
we are not. I know everybody's looking for the emergency brake to stop everything that's happening right now, and there is no way to do it. what we have to do, we can do this piecemeal, which is essentially how it's going to happen. And the most obvious place to go with that is essentially what happened in Iowa City. Now, if you guys are aware, the Iowa City Council unanimously votes to boycott Israel and all companies complicit in genocide. Now, all too often we get so caught up in what can we accomplish at the very top? What can we accomplish as far as stopping the genocide in Gaza? There's very little we can do. But what we can't do at home is figure out how we get out from under the boot that is the Israel lobby and the Zionist control of our country. And one of those ways to do that is to take it directly to your city council. Now, our understanding is that Iowa was spending or giving $120 million per year in federal tax dollars specifically for weaponry for Israel.
Isn't that amazing how these small towns, and, you know, we often talk on here, especially when we talk modern monetary theory, tax dollars don't fund spending, but they do in these municipalities and they do for states. So the fact that so many of these states and counties and cities are so heavily invested in Israel is just, it's sick. It's sick. This is a sickness.
But there's a reason why.
Yeah, of course. It's, you know, but it's just, it's disgusting. But what concerns me and should concern people is that if we now take this story and connect it back up with what happened last week or the week before, when Trump's administration came out and said states that BDS will not receive emergency funding, FEMA funding. And which, again, I said then, and I do believe now is unconstitutional and would eventually not stand. However, it's going to cause complications. So a place like Iowa, which is ripe for like a whole series of tornadoes to come through a town and trash it. And then they're going to turn around and point to this and say, no, we're not going to help you guys out. That's what we need to just be aware. That's what the setup is.
The state of Iowa pays $120 million in federal taxes annually for Israel's weaponry alone. At its most recent city council meeting, Iowa City voted unanimously, every single member of the council, to boycott and divest from Israel bonds and companies deemed complicit in Israel's war crimes. Now, if you saw the murderer's row, a list of the companies that they're divesting from, including the likes of Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Boeing, and the like, you would ask yourself, well, why the hell were they investing in them to begin with?
I was going to say, you shouldn't be investing in those anyway, even if they're not sending money specifically to the Zio state.
How much does your municipality pay in taxes to help fund Israel's genocide of Palestinians? Well, I guarantee you that the municipalities that are within the congressional district that Jen ran in, Plantation, Hollywood, Pembroke Pines, Miramar, Davie, Cooper City.
There was that there was that city that, and it's in Florida, and I cannot for the life of me remember, but they did divest. There's a town that divested, and it did make like a little bit of news, but they did it here. It's somewhere up like Vero or somewhere, some other little town that had money invested or however many bonds or whatever they had in, purchased. And they divested, and it's going to start to happen. But yeah.
Colin, scroll down, and if you can, also please grab that quick video footage that I sent to you from the city council meeting. Listen, that's the message right there. First in GOP state to divest from Israel. The blueprint is there. We just have to use it. You should always. The worst part about our political engagement in this country for the average person is that, granted, most people don't know much of anything about their elected officials, and that's a problem to begin with. But most people don't know who their city council member is. They don't know who their state house representative is. They don't know who their state senator is. Maybe they know who their congressperson is, but even that can be a stretch. Generally, they don't know who their governor or their senators are. Well, in this case, you only have to know the people in your own backyard. who represents you. And with the city council, you only have to know one. You just have to know the one person that represents you in your given area and find out. It's very easy to find out how the money is being allocated. That's a big part of this. That's the thing that I think a lot of people forget, is that in the end, we can make this change, but we have to get our hands dirty and we have to get in the streets. And one of the ways that that could be done specifically is if we are cognizant of this reality that politics is local. We have to stop looking at what's going on at the federal level. It's not like they're doing shit anyway to try to change our circumstance.
So I just wanted to tell you, so I'm just looking this up. There's the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights, and it actually has a list, a history of the dates that different places divested. So there have been other divestments before, and even in Ohio, you had back in, this is back, Summit County, Ohio, decided to not purchase any more Israeli bonds. That was back in June of 24. City of Alameda, California, Portland, Maine. You have a few of them. Hamtramck, Michigan. I can't pronounce that. So yeah, you do, but generally not in the red places.
But that's going to change.
Oh
and
yeah,
it is changing.
Oh yeah, because the red people are now equally pissed off about it.
Well, there again, once you understand the game, once you understand the scam, it's very easy to see through it. And, you know, we're going to get to Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk. And Saturday night, I am going to be speaking with our good friend Osiris, Stuck in the Middle podcast, who has been on the Nick Fuentes train for years. And a person that I figure if I'm going to talk to anybody about Fuentes,
you should talk to the Nick Fuentes expert.
Yeah, talk to the black guy who loves him and figure out exactly what it is that he sees to do such a great thing.
Tell me what you see in him.
Well, I mean, listen, I've listened to Fuentes. I think there are things that he says that I agree with, but he's also, you know, he's very bigoted in a lot of his commentary. He's extremely anti-woman, which I think many people suggest that he's a closet homosexual, but whatever. At the end of the day, I have said time and again, we can get back to these little problems that we have in our daily lives about who is a bigot and who isn't, if we can get through coalescing around this mission to end the Israel genocide and its stranglehold over our country. And he is using his platform for all it's worth.
Are you done with this one?
I'm waiting for Colin.
Oh, okay. What's happening with this?
So we have one clip that we want to show from this event.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull it up now.
Yes. Mo? Yes. Sana?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Wyline?
Yes.
Alder?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Yay.
Yay.
And that's a pretty broad boycott. You know, the other ones were more, okay, we won't buy these bonds anymore. This is a boycott, all companies, Israel and all companies complicit in genocide. That's pretty broad. That's pretty, you know, good for them. Good for them.
And that is, again, an example of why the change is going to happen. It's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it is happening. They're never putting this cat back in the bag.
No, it's not. It's just going to dwindle, but it's excruciatingly painful to watch. And it
is, but I want to keep in mind one of the bigger issues, if not the biggest issue that we have, and why this is becoming such a inflection point in so many ways, is because we don't have people that actually speak up. That's something that Miss Rachel pointed out on Democracy Now!
How cute was she on Democracy Now! I love her.
She's a sweet gal, and she's trying to do everything she can in her capacity to make a difference. And another person who has been making a difference for a very long time, and I really wanted to play this, is Roger Waters, who, as we pointed out, was somebody who had spoken out vehemently against what Israel had been doing for so long. And we saw what happened with Howard Stern. Well, in more friendlier confines, credit where credit is due, friend of the show, we're happy to say, Chris Hedges did have him on the other day. And here's what he had to say.
They purport to defend these values that they betray.
Yeah. Yeah, Blair, after Margaret Thatcher came in and to destroy England.
Seriously.
I don't know if you know what her popularity ratings were until the Malvinas, until the Falklands War.
They were very low.
2%. Suddenly, she has a small war.
Yeah, of course.
Boom, she's a great heroine. She was a disgusting person. And she was not stupid like Trump. She actually got a perfectly decent 2-1 or something from a college in Oxford University, where you have to actually study something.
You have to read books.
You have to, you have to read books. And Blair was just the follower. Blair said, let's sell the Great Britain that was created by an Arian Bevan and Clement Attlee and Wedgwood Ben and Michael Foot and some left wing.
There is such thing as being too white.
Oh, those are some white people. Yeah, that's some whiteness.
Like just some like the most extreme type of whiteys. The lack
I also see. Yeah, I mean, it's not a good look. And I can't even say, oh, it's a man thing. I wish I could, but Thatcher is one of the worst. So, there's that.
Me? Maggie Thatcher, wasn't
Horrible.
she a dame?
Just a white English Reagan. I can't.
Yeah.
Labour politicians and Jeremy Corbyn attempted to get back into that kind of trend. Excuse my French. We'll put that to one side and we'll just sell out to the American model. We'll sell out to the corporations. And John Pilger, our late great friend,
great
John,
journalist.
He made a wonderful movie about the National Health Service. And there's a scene in it where a lady who's been a nurse all her life and carried on trying to work in a hospital that was taken over by an American corporation. And she actually breaks, I'm nearly breaking down now. She breaks down in front of the camera saying, we realized that we weren't there to look after people. She said, I'd been looking after people in the National Health Service for 25 years. And suddenly it wasn't that. It was how much profit can we make out of each body?
And this is coming from somebody who is in his 70s, who is from a country that at one time was considered to have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. And you compare that to what we have. This is just
he's been sounding alarms on a lot of these things for a really long time. He was almost like Roger Waters, like the musician's version of the canary in the coal mine with a lot of this stuff, because he's been calling it for a while.
The problem with the problem that has always been the case with Waters is that he could come off like a real asshole, and there are people who don't like that. I don't care how you say it. Just give me the truth. That's what matters. Being nice about empire destroying the world, I don't know why that has to be presented in such a rosy and fluffy way.
Well, first of all, nothing about Chris Hedges I would call rosy and fluffy. So, he is also someone that comes off disgruntled and curmudgeonly to me, because when somebody's bright and they know what's going on, it's hard to see what they see and not have it affect you. And there's a lot of things to be very angry and grumpy about.
No, I agree.
And he's serious.
And if we can't make a profit out of them, man, kick them out the door. And that's the model. And we know that. You don't have to live in North America very long to understand that is how it works. And the only people who are profiting or making are the insurance companies and Big Pharma. And the care of the patient is completely lost, except for the very, very wealthy.
Well, and it's worse here in the United States, where you have private insurance, private.
That's what I'm talking about. The United States.
It's legally permissible to hold sick children hostage while their parents bankrupt and themselves trying to save their sons or daughters. That's the system we advocate. And of course, what they do is they starve the national health system. They're doing the same thing in Canada to break it, to destroy it.
Yeah, they're trying to do it there. It's amazing to me that where we are an American empire and in our downfall, that the world in so many ways is witnessing and laughing at to some extent, is how ridiculous we are. But that there still are these empires or countries, nation states that want to mimic what we're doing. And it's like, because their oligarchs got a little taste of it and they're like, oh, we could profit off of everything like they do over there. And I just don't think that their people, and I don't know enough about like the UK, but like they're not having it in France. I could tell you that, like there's certain places that are just not going to stand for it. I can't imagine they'd stand for it in Ireland.
Well, no, of course not. But Ireland is even more bold. Ireland has been discussing the prospect of actually sending troops to fight for the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. Like that's the type of action that Roger Waters would advocate for. Because in the end, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. There really is a sort of lost notion that it is acceptable to be quiet. And this is also the whole point about speaking out against this insane system that we live under today, whether it is domestically with our healthcare, our education, our water, our air, our economic prospects, because we live in a full-blown oligarchy that is dancing in the moonlight with fascism. And then you factor in our foreign policy, which, again, Roger Waters, he may be a Brit, but he has been screaming from the rooftops, ringing the alarm bells for multiple decades now. And while he could potentially be one to say, I told you so, he continues to do these interviews from his home studio and continues to put that message out there that eventually you're going to have to make a stand. You cannot run away from this. There are way too many people who think they can run away from this. And guys, we have 170 people watching right now. Only 100 of you have hit that like button. If you could, please smash it. We would really appreciate it. All that makes a huge difference in getting the message out there to more people. I like Roger Waters, not just because I think Pink Floyd is an all-time great rock band. I like the fact that unlike Springsteen, he actually means what he says. He doesn't run away from it. He never has. And in the end, yeah, Bruce might be richer than him, but when you're at that level, who gives a shit? You're already rich. What's the difference between 200 and 300 million?
You'd have to ask somebody who's had that much money.
That's true.
I can't tell you the difference between 200 and 300 million.
How about 100? Could you tell me that difference?
Point being, yeah, wealthy is wealthy, but there are people that do have other priorities. So
true.
Yeah. So this comes back, Chris, to ordinary people standing shoulder to shoulder from the river to the sea. Sumud. Perseverance, steadfast perseverance is what the word sumud means. And that is what we have to show, but we have to make as much noise while showing it as possible to encourage the young, particularly. I always said that the Holy Land, the question of the Holy Land the battle was going to be fought on the campuses of American university. Yeah. I was saying this 15, 20 years ago, okay, and it turns out that's correct. And look how Columbia University in New York City has capitulated completely, and it's now they've moved now to accept the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which is insane and has been adopted by 35 state jurisdictions. That is now the official definition of anti-Semitism.
Well, and I just want to interrupt you, Roger, because they've codified it to add examples, which in essence say that any criticism of the Israeli state is anti-Semitic. I was just at the Trenton State Capitol testifying against the adoption of the measure. The committee unanimously passed it for approval. It goes to the Senate. But immediately when I began, they muted my mic, and the Zionists jeered and shouted me down, along with Roz Stiegel, an Israeli genocide scholar. So there we were arguing that this measure would curb or shut down free speech, and we weren't allowed free speech.
Yeah, that again, and I would argue again that even if we follow that definition of anti-Semitism, and even if we say that criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic, I still say, so the fuck what? People are allowed to be anti-Semitic if they want to.
I'm anti-Semitic. Fuck Israel.
That they're not the Semites.
I know.
That's the irony of it, is that the people we don't like aren't even the Semites. I could, but even even if it were anti-Semitism, to say so now we're prohibited from saying things about that. That's content control. That's a violation of the First Amendment. It doesn't matter if it's anti-Semitic or not. That's what's so frustrating to me.
For those of you that are here that are new and are becoming accustomed to our channel, Jen, you have been speaking about this for the longest time, that it is inevitable that Jew hatred is going to reach a fever pitch in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Because the people that are Jewish, that are rabid Zionists, they do this essentially from ivory towers. They do it from places where people can't reach them. And so the natural inclination, which is the hardest part, which is why I always revert back in the early stages of this massacre, this genocide. I wanted to scream at Miss Rachel when she's out there saying for the 50,000 kids that are dead. No, more like 250,000 kids are dead. And so what I think a lot of people are missing here is, if you remember at the very beginning, when there was the pro-Palestine protest in Manhattan that featured a lot of the Hasidic Jews that were waving the Palestinian flag.
Yeah.
And then you had that blonde Ashkenazi woman that came up with the tears in her eyes. You're not a Jew. You're not a Jew. And then, of course, you had Jacob Berger, who always, to his credit, is like, I'm wearing the Star of David. I'm a Jew, and I'm Ashkenazi, and I'm pre-Palestine. What the hell are you going to do about it? The reason they're able to get away with this is because they control the levers of money and power in this country. It's not because they are liked. It's not because people agree with them. And as Jen has pointed out time and again, a substantial portion of the algorithm and the likes and comments that you see on social media, especially on Twitter, are from bots and bot farms. And this are not actual people that believe this stuff. Il Jacobi, who I constantly point out because he's one of the worst. His father is an Israeli national who is also a professor at my fucking alma mater, which drives me insane. Kid grew up wealthy in Princeton, New Jersey, not too far from where Mr. Hedges lives. I'm sure he's well aware of this little snot-nosed piece of crap. But these are the people that we have to deal with on a regular basis, not because they have the people behind them, but because they have the levers of power behind them. For now.
Yaha. Hasidic Jews are for all Jews to Israel, but only via the Messiah. Correct. But the key point is that it isn't the ethno-state of Israel that they're seeking. When they're talking about what Zion is, it's a vision. It's a utopia. It's not a geo-state. It's not a nation state. It's not a political thing. So, but yes. Peter kind of looks like Willem, and it's Willem Dafoe when the Green Goblin takes over in that mirror scene. I could see it. He kind of has that. He's got the, yeah, it's a little creepy. Don't do that.
What do you mean? No, the two most common celebrities that I've got in my life are Steve Buscemi and Tom Wilson, who played Biff in Back to the Future. Those are the two most common that I've got.
I could see that, but I could also see Willem Dafoe in that. I could see that.
Ironically, my father has always, everyone's always telling them my father reminds them of Tim Robbins. And I saw
I could see that.
I finally saw the Hudsucker Proxy for the first time. And there is a scene in the movie where Tim Robbins' character and Steve Buscemi's character are having a conversation in this beatnik bar. And I'm like, am I talking to my father?
That's kind of weird, right?
It was. That was the first thing I thought. I was like, holy shit, this is pretty outrageous. So, yeah, but I'm sorry. We like to have positive banter, but now we got to bring it back down.
We have to go back to, the bad stuff.
Misery. Misery loves company. So here we go.
Which gets into, kind of Alice in Wonderland world. But that's all of these creeping steps are very, very frightening. And I think what's shocked me is the rapidity, how fast it's coming in the United States.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, it's very rapid and it's very, very scary. People spit on me, and literally, and I go, "Wow, wow, why?" And they spitting on me because I believe in human rights. That's the only That's why you oppose the IHRA definition, because it doesn't believe in human rights. Yeah. It believes in genocide.
Is he wrong?
That they believe in genocide?
Yeah.
The Israelis? That's the whole premise of their existence. That's what people don't understand. This isn't a one-off. It's not just, it's a bad time. Israel's just in a bad way. This leadership, the Likud party, Benjamin Netanyahu. No, this is the inevitable end result of the Zionist project. It was always intended to ethnically cleanse that region. That was always the plan. So the concept, that's why the whole idea of a two-state solution is ridiculous and always has been ridiculous, because this was always the plan.
Well, on top of everything else, you've still got people out there spewing the two-state solution bullshit. Like, why do they keep doing
that's Zio talking point 101?
Not only that, but they keep on giving the same talking point about how many dead Palestinians there really is. And it isn't just like a slight undercount, it is a substantial undercount.
Well, they can't get the numbers. But they can't get numbers. That's the design of it. That was on purpose. That's why that's why they stopped letting journalists in. That's why they won't allow anybody to excavate the rubble. That's why they don't want those numbers to be released. So nobody will have those numbers until we get an accounting of who's left. We're only going to know how many people were killed in this Holocaust based on how many Palestinians are left that were in Gaza when all is said and done. That's the only way we're going to get the numbers. So, and to speculate anything else is just, they have nothing else that they can do.
It says, Israel could commit genocide. And if you oppose it, that is anti-Semitic. That is a hate crime, Roger. Opposing the Israeli policy of genocide, that thing where they've got them now and they're funneling into them and pretending that they're going to give them food, and then they shoot them. They're shooting them. Yeah, well,
it's just bait. They bait. It's to lure starving Palestinians to the south. They only give food at 4 hubs for an hour a day. It is highly inadequate. It's exactly what they did in the Warsaw Ghetto, where the Nazis starved the residents of the Warsaw Ghetto and then offered loaves of bread if you would get on the trains. That is exactly the same tactic.
Yes, it is exactly the same tactic. So the big battle is in the hearts and minds of men. So we come back always to the propaganda battle. Is Rupert Murdoch going to win the battle, or are you and I going to win the battle? Because and what do we have on our side, Chris? We have love and truth on our side. Rupert Murdoch and Trump and Starmer and all they have on their side is greed and hatred and lies. So you would think that you understand then why billions of people all over the global south, but all over the West as well, are going, nada más. They see ordinary people, they can tell the difference between love and hate.
Yeah.
I know they can. I get emotional even talking about it.
Well, I knew Václav Havel. I covered the Velvet Revolution. I
Right.
was in the Magic Lantern Theater with him every night. And he talked about this, which is really what you're saying, is he called it living in truth.
See, that's an artist. But it's living in truth. When you're living in truth, it's very powerful. You feel often that you're being defeated, and we are being gaslit. There is no doubt about it. On a daily basis, we're being gaslit, and it is hard to maintain a certain sense of like self and not like comfort with self when you feel like, what am I seeing, and why is nobody seem to be noticing this? But we have truth on our side, and that is a very powerful thing.
We do. We actually had to pull one of our clips the other day because they decided to suppress the shit out of it. And that, of course, is the clip about the assassination of journalist Anas al-Sharif, which was, again...
it got suppressed, guys. No shock there.
We had a clip that we did on Marjorie Taylor Greene that is sitting at about 7,000 views right now. And the clip on Anas al-Sharif, which was done within a few hours of that, was sitting at about 400 views. So tell me that there isn't an active movement to suppress messaging. There is.
Did we re-release it? Did we try to do that?
I think we're going to either do it tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, I am curious to see what happens with a different title if it gets the same level of suppression.
Well, that's why if you look at other channels, ones that we agree with, ones that we don't, and everything in between, what you will see, Colin is going to re-release it tonight after the stream. Okay. So one of the things that you have to remember is that they are looking for reasons to flag us. They've done it before. They will do it again. A lot of times what you have to do is get creative with the titles that you put there. Sometimes people will do pretty silly things to get people to watch their streams. We're not trying to sucker people into watching us.
No. But no, we're trying to avoid getting suppressed. It's not so much trying to sucker people in as avoid, the algorithm taking our video and shoving it to the bottom of a pile.
If you guys like these conversations as much as we do, because clearly we have to enjoy it if we're going to be doing this 2 to 3 times a week, it's not easy to do, but it's worth it because the message is what matters. Please go to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $5 a month, you could become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. In fact, we have seen I guess you would say a little bit of a growth spurt over the past few days. We have surged up a little bit. We are now sitting at 48,616 subscribers. So since our last live stream, we've increased another 300 subscribers. So you guys are definitely making us feel like you like us. You really like us. So with that said, any and all financial contributions obviously means a great deal to us and helps us grow even more. And of course, we want to give a shout out to one of our most amazing supporters, JG1982. Thank you for the $5. Let's hope there's not another French Revolution. The conditions are looking very similar. Hey, it's not a question of whether we want a French Revolution, but the powers that be are daring us to have one. That's what's happening. Jen?
Yeah, well, no, and I think we should be taking after the French. I wish we got yellow vests with our new cars. That's the yellow vest, guys. We need to be in the street. The French got in the street over them wanting to raise their retirement age or their pension age by like a year or something. And they were all in the streets. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I think we do need to take some cues from them.
It's like the French. You have to understand. It's very exquisite. Smoke your cigarette, eat your cheese, and I will kill you if you even try to mess with my stuff. That's French.
Well, I mean, yeah. And also they are, I was just listening to something today of the countries in Western Europe. France tends to be the more nationalistic and who they are.
I mean, they do have a red, white, and blue flag like we do. I mean,
but they do not tolerate crap.
They don't. They fight in a way that the Brits don't. It's what it is. But I think that also comes from the fact that they were a country that was taken over by Germany. And it's understandable that to this day, for the past 80 years, they've had these sort of itchy trigger fingers, and I don't blame them. The second they sense that something's wrong, they're going to pounce.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the way to be. JG1982, again with the $5. Violent crime is worse in MAGA cities, but January 6th in D.C. was overlooked, but they want to point fingers at teens. Central Park 5 2.0. Again, Everything is a means to an end.
And at the end of the day, this is a class war. This is a class war. And all of it in terms of when he's saying something like the Central Park Five, that has to do with, look, we know that that's completely race-based. We know that that is interconnected with class. This is about rich people keeping down poor people, poor crimes, things that poor people do. It has nothing to do with actual crime. If we were going after actual criminals, then all of the people that are making these decisions would be incarcerated. So, it has nothing to do with actual crime. It has to do with what they consider to be thug stuff, poverty crimes. That's the kind of stuff that they think is so horrible. And that is the class war.
Sure. S. Kolachuk, thank you for the 5 Canadian A. Recommending a listen to Whitey on the Moon by Gil Scott-Heron. Love your show.
Thank you.
My friend. Are you familiar? I am not familiar.
No, I'm not. But I will check it out.
Rachel,
I am not familiar.
Rachel, please jot that down.
She doesn't. I can remember it, Rachel. She could be, for all you know, she's polishing her nails right now.
Or she's smoking weed like you. There's also that.
Well, there's always that, but
I'm just saying there is that possibility. I don't want to neglect from the weed assortment. And
no, but without her here, I'm telling you, it's like all of my paraphernalia is just not good.
You poor thing, but you'll survive. JG again with the $5. Thank you so much. Palestine has the right to fight occupation and is duty of the UN. Why do people forget that? Well, I keep insisting that when next month there is the 80th UN summit, that there has to be a spectacle in front of the UN building that can't be ignored. They're already out there in front of the building, people getting arrested in support of Palestine. You have to do this as a coordinated effort, guys. There has to be a coordinated effort, hopefully with the likes of the DSA, hopefully with
I'm so annoyed with them. That's not, seriously? The DSA right now, as far as I'm concerned, they don't even need to exist.
They're just there to protect.
I don't see the point of them. I do not see the point. If almost half of their people, it was a close call on these votes they had, how they were going to move forward on what they were going to say about Israel, Palestine. No. If it's a close call, you don't need to exist. You could just go right back into the regular Democratic Party. You're there
already. But again, if they're not going to step up when they need to, then obviously
go away. Just go away. Screw the DSA. Seriously.
No argument from me. JG with the $5 one more time. The GFH has been exposed as racist from infidels motorcycle gang. It's been exposed. GFH.
Gaza, and I think he means GHF, right? Gaza
Maybe.
Humanitarian Foundation.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe. All right. So what about that organization?
I don't know. Well, but I don't know what
that organization. What about it?
That they were exposed as racist, infidels, motorcycle gang. It's been exposed. I'm not sure.
Listen, anything's possible. S. Kolachuk again with the 5 Canadian A. Thank you so much. Dope will get you through times of no money better than money will get you through no times of dope.
Through times of no dope. And that is true. Now, but it only really happens when the latter can only happen though when you're in a place where there's no dope available. Because if you have money, in theory, you could have dope, and it's not that hard to find, but yeah, it's true. Dope does get you through, but you got to have the money to get the dope. That's the problem. It's a catch-22.
We have to give a shout out to one of our few viewers on Rumble, Jampan. We got a
Jampan.
The Revolution will not be televised. 1971 song performed by Gil Scott-Heron. Thank you very much for that comment. And hey, listen, if they shut us down on YouTube, you guys know that you're going to have to go follow us on Rumble. It's one of the only other places we could probably go to do this show. We are active over there, but obviously we don't get anywhere near the viewership that we get here. Got to go where the audience is. So doing our thing, guys. But if you are a part of Rumble or if you have an account on Rumble, I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to Revolutionary Change over on Rumble, just in case, because you never know. There is always that possibility. So,
but yeah, did you explain that people can also join here on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
I told them, what was I doing the past 10 minutes?
I'm not sure.
Man, that weed must be really good.
I did see people commenting about, have you gotten to Nick Fuentes yet? Now, it's so funny that that is such a hot topic of conversation. If it weren't for whatever must have recently happened and him being in the news now and whatever nonsense got him in the news the last time, I honestly wouldn't know who this is. I don't know that I'd recognize this person if I saw, like, if you showed me a lineup of people, I would only be able to guess him by process of elimination.
We'll get to Fuentes in a minute. Yes, JHF has been recruiting infidels. It's big news. They are white supremacist ex-soldiers, motorcycle gang. They are basically Crusader Christians.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what he was talking about. I'm not surprised. But yet they still had to reach out to people like Anthony Aguilar, because the infidel white supremacist or whatever, all those mercenary guys, those guys aren't the people that they need to be in charge of stuff. Those are just, that's just like, guns for hire. So they had to still reach out to somebody like him. They probably regret reaching out to him, don't you think?
Colin, please update as soon as you can. Really appreciate it if you could take care of that. And thank you, Checkpoint Charlie. Hey, what a perfect name. It is a checkpoint. And if I am looking at your image as closely as I am, Checkpoint Charlie, is that Sam Neill as Damien from The Omen? Because that is who he looks like. That's the image that I see.
It's Jampan. I was right. See, Jampan.
Well, you're always right, and I'm always wrong.
No. About pronunciations of names. Usually, I'm more right than you.
Sometimes, but you were a little bit more read than I am. I mean, you are an attorney by trade, so you definitely read a little more than I did. All right, this is going to be a long segment, but it's a segment that we're going to do because we're going to do one tonight, and we're going to follow it with a kind of like a what I would consider to be a deep dive on Nick Fuentes, which will happen on Saturday. But
so we're doing a 2-part series on Nick Fuentes.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Look, I get to be here for the part 1.
For the reasons of this evening, and the reason why we're finally going to talk about Nick Fuentes after all this time, is because I am going to give a big shout out, and I mean a big shout out, to the incels that support Charlie Kirk. You decided to turn a clip that had 1,000 views into a clip that now has over 4,000 views because you don't like the fact that I called out you hypocrite morons for thinking that women don't have the right to choose. For the life of me.
Can you go back and give the background story to people watching as to what you're talking about? Because it is actually funny, but you're burying the lead.
So the clip that we did was in relation to South Park, which, again, Matt and Trey have been on fire on these first couple of episodes. And they had Cartman play the role, essentially, of Charlie Kirk.
And we mocked it. And we mocked it.
And what I pointed out at the very beginning of the clip that I put together this previous Saturday was essentially that I didn't even address the abortion issue. All I said was that abortion is a women's health issue. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, but it is a women's health issue, isn't it?
Oh, it's exclusively a women's health issue.
And by proving my point, the Charlie incels decided to flood the comment section. One of the guys actually said, no, actually, the baby's life is what matters. The woman is just the host of the baby. And I'm like, God damn.
So you guys. You put out a clip that really talking about Charlie Kirk, and what all of these incels latched onto was that you thought that women should have their choice over their own bodies.
Correct.
That's great. And so because of those people, though, now we've got a really big clip.
Yeah.
Good. So let them keep commenting on and displaying their incel-y selves.
So the reason I think that this is important is because there are millions of people that follow Charlie Kirk that for some reason think that this guy is actually the voice of the millennial and Gen Z generation, especially those that identify as conservative. What I have tried to point out time and again about Charlie Kirk is that he only exists because whatever you want to call it, but there is a portion of conservative America, including the guy who, I'm forgetting his name right now, that was his mentor, this much older guy who passed away not too long ago. They're funded by the Koch brothers. They are funded by conservative USA, Red America, whatever you want to call it.
Well, isn't Charlie Kirk a creation of the Koch brothers?
Well, that's Turning Point USA.
That's what right. So he is their creation.
He is their creation. They figured out that this is a guy who, listen, we're going to play the clip that he did at the Culture War Summit from a few years ago with Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr., which I guess they were either married or together at the same time.
I know that, Travers, because I was at Greyfriars Kirk. Ah!
Kirk, you're still alive.
I was there.
Friend.
They do. They call churches Kirk. That's how it's that's how it's spelled. I don't know how it's pronounced, but yes.
But the hypocrisy, and where I think a lot of this stems from, Charlie Kirk, I guess you would say, I don't know if he's an evangelical. I don't think he is. In fact, he might be Catholic, and I could be wrong. I know Nick Fuentes is Catholic. There is is that no? That's just Travers.
You didn't get it, Travers. No, I got it. It was really funny.
Well, Travers is a ball-breaking Irish son of a bitch, but I love him. So, there's a reason why we his banter. If you guys are not familiar with Charlie Kirk's take on anything related to the state of Israel, and this is where the big collision between Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes comes into play, you will see it here. Charlie Kirk, listen, you hate the player. You can hate the player all you want.
What's there? Before we go into this, I need a little bit of background to prepare myself. What is there? I mean, Nick Fuentes is a Trumper or not a Trumper?
Nick Fuentes was a Trumper, a very big Trumper. In fact, was one of the leading marchers, if you will, on January 6th.
So in theory, he and Charlie Kirk are on the same team.
I would say that was true maybe a couple of years ago.
So what is the split? What is the difference?
Well, the split is the fact that Charlie Kirk has always tried to dance on a string when it comes to the issue of Israel. And Nick Fuentes has always been adamant that Israel is going to drag us into hell.
So basically, Charlie Kirk is Nick Fuentes's in Nick Fuentes's mind, Charlie Kirk is like a pepper.
Worse than that. And you'll see.
But
So I want you guys to keep in mind that this clip that we're playing of Charlie Kirk is not from recent. This isn't the get the fucking line and do what we tell you about Israel. This guy's been sucking off Israel for years. And here he is with Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr. from a few years ago.
Sure. So I have a question. So from America First perspective, why do we give $3.8 billion to Israel, which is more aid than we've given to Africa, more aid than we've given to South America, and more aid than we've given to the Caribbean combined, which is home to 1 billion poor people, especially when they deliberately attacked the USS Liberty in the 1970s?
That is incorrect. Do not peddle conspiracy theories in our event.
So
was that Charlie Kirk's voice?
So Charlie immediately out of the box wants to lie.
That was his voice. And this was a few years ago.
Correct.
So, okay.
So this son of a bitch is already lying to his audience, lying through his teeth about the USS Liberty being attacked by Israel. Everyone fucking knows that Israel attacked the USS Liberty. And this son of a bitch is sitting up there on that stage saying, that is a lie. Don't you ever say such a thing. But it's the truth.
That actually is really frustrating because somebody like him with a platform like that, when they're saying things that we just know to be factually untrue, it's very frustrating. We've had enough reputable military people, veterans on our show and have addressed the USS Liberty. I believe that can you imagine if Dennis Fritz was in this audience?
Oh my God.
And Charlie Kirk is saying that's a conspiracy theory. We know that it's not.
But keep in mind the
I think
target
one of the
audience.
victims, I'm sorry, one of the people from the USS Liberty is still alive.
He is, and he's out there saying we were attacked by Israel.
Yeah.
Period. And what's even more amazing is that you've got a very specific target audience. Now, I've been to the Turning Point USA event in Tampa. This is from a couple of years ago, just because I needed to see what the event was like. These are all basically trust fund babies from the wealthy suburbs that get sent to this little, like, I was going to call it sleepaway camp, but they're all going there to be in politics. It's no different than the events that Jen and I would go to in Orlando with the Democratic establishment and these spoiled freaking rich kids from South Florida and Southwest Florida that would show up there. They're all trying to get into politics and get a job. And if their parents are big donors to the party, guess what? They're going to get a job. That's how it works.
That is not acceptable. Do not say that.
Okay, Dean Rusk disagrees with you, and he was the Secretary of State at the time, but that's fine. And then the second part is also, you have the Apollo incident in which they illegally stole weapons-grade uranium. The CIA has reports on this.
Anti-Zionist,
No, I'm not
rhetoric.
anti-Israel. I'm just asking from America's perspective because it's not in our interest. They act
Remember
against
the
our
short
interest.
question part?
Sure. I mean, how is it in our interest that we
Easy.
give this money to Israel?
All right, so it's required that they have to buy American weaponry. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, the only place where all three monotheistic religions are allowed to peacefully practice. It's the only country in the Middle East where all three monotheistic religions are represented in their government. It's the only place in the Middle East that has any appreciation for LGBT rights whatsoever. It's the only country in the Middle East that doesn't throw homosexuals off the top of buildings when they find them. It is the only partner that we have in the fight against radical Islamic
nodding along.
Gulf oil? Yeah, of course.
Terrorism. And the subtext of your narrative could be extrapolated to say, well, why on earth would we have a partner like Israel? Guess what? The world's a better place because of Israel.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ, Charlie.
The world
I think
is
all evidence to the contrary.
The world is on the precipice of World War III because of Israel. Period. But they're not going to last.
The medical patents, the technological innovation, the human rights.
So I'm getting to watch the Charlie Kirk original old thing. I'm not going to get to know the new thing with Nick Fuentes.
Can you just have patience?
Okay,
Really,
I'm excited to see. I can hardly contain myself.
You are such a spoiled only child. Like it's not even funny. Like you really let it fly sometimes.
The one common denominator of Israel since its founding, since Israel was legally founded in the 1940s, Israel.
It was never legally founded.
It was stolen. It was declared. It was declared, and then it was recognized, and then they violated that, and they've been in violation ever since then, and that was in 1967. So there's that. They're a rogue state.
And never forget why they had to get rid of Kennedy, because Kennedy never would have played along with this shit. And when LBJ got in there, which again is why a lot of people feel that LBJ was involved, you think Trump is a friend to Israel? There was never a greater friend to Israel than LBJ. He did everything. The only thing he didn't do was put the embassy in Jerusalem instead of Tel Aviv. Trump took care of that one. But don't worry, there's a point to be made about that.
Israel's been under attack from every direction you can point a compass at, from the north, from the south, from the east, and the west. And guess what? They have water to the west, and that was even at war with them. And Israel has rightfully defended its borders time and time again. It's an unbelievably complex issue. So you say, how could you possibly believe in an America first policy? Well, I'll tell you what. It's important to have partners in fights against mutual enemies. And guess what? It's Israel that time and time again has stood with America against the mutual enemies and will continue to do so. Thank you for your question.
Yes, and thank you, President Trump, for moving the embassy to Jerusalem, right? President.
Yeah, that was a good idea. That was a great idea.
I wonder how much longer she's going to be able, with all due respect, gulp and blow her way through.
Well, that's all. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. She'll be able to last as long as the fillers.
The Botox and
that's how long they all last until whoever it is moves on to the younger model. So
this is the whole thing about like Lauren Sanchez.
They all look the same.
Bezos.
They all look the same. It's creepy.
People also forget that Gulf Oil was married to Gavin Newsom. Like, I don't know how many people remember that, but she's made her way through a lot of powerful men over the years. And again, don't hate the player, hate the game. She wants to be relevant in the world of politics. Well, she is. In fact, I think she still has a job in the Trump administration. She's like ambassador to Greece or something.
Well, she's his girlfriend or whatever.
Well, he and I don't think they're not together anymore.
Right. They broke up. But at this point, I think they were a couple.
Yes. At this time when they filmed it, they were. Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem.
That's right. All right, we'll do one or two more. I think we're running two
more questions.
I don't know. Okay.
Maybe three, maybe. Well, that was bad.
I think this guy gets into the whole thing about he starts going to the whole thing about immigration. So
the point of that was to go back and give like the premise of where Charlie Kirk is as a complete Zio tool.
Saying that he's a Zio tool would be an understatement. And here's where Nick Fuentes comes into play. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Nick Fuentes, he is what I call the true whisperer of the incel community. But he's also very insightful. He's no schlub. He actually knows a lot of stuff. He's an excellent orator, as you're about to see. And he has a certain level of disdain for Charlie Kirk in particular. Now, we're going to get into Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson on Saturday, but this is a much bigger issue here because it is directly related to what we're talking about. So here's Nick Fuentes addressing Charlie Kirk, particularly on the issue of Israel-Palestine.
And it just goes to show, by the way, Charlie Kirk, who a week ago said, I'm doing a focus group. I'm open to a contrary opinion on Israel and Palestine. He's now doing damage control on their behalf. And one has to wonder, is he being paid by Israel?
Or blackmail?
Without a doubt, the answer is yes. For Charlie Kirk to go on his show today and say, there is no forced starvation, here comes a rabbi to tell us why, without a shadow of a doubt, he is being paid by them. That is why he is doing damage control on their behalf, because he is on their payroll. And someone who is on the payroll of a foreign state making excuses for war crimes is not somebody that you can trust on anything.
I want to know exactly what people see in Charlie Kirk. I can at least see why people listen to Nick Fuentes. I can see it. I'm not blind. I understand why he attracts a lot of impressionable minds and why people feel that he is an outlet to their anger. That's a big thing. Nick is speaking to a lot of angry men in particular out there who do not feel that they have a place in this world. And that is a very dangerous place to be, especially today. But I want to know exactly what it is that people like about Charlie Kirk. What the hell does he talk about that makes him relevant?
I think he's just the, like somebody said, I think I saw it, that he's just a Christian version of Ben Shapiro. He's just, I don't know what he does. He's on the payroll.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably a fair comparison. I would give him that one. Why not?
I mean,
it seems pretty reasonable. But the difference is Nick Fuentes is not sponsored by multinational corporations. He has essentially built an audience through two platforms, Rumble and X. And that's it. That's all he uses. He's not even on YouTube, which is kind of amazing when you think.
Well, and this is why someone like me has no idea who he is, because I'm not on those social media. So how would I ever know? That's why I don't know who a lot of these people are.
The biggest reason why Fuentes is catching so much fire right now is because the receipts are there. He has been speaking out. I'm probably going to play it on Saturday, but he did a clip all the way back in like 2018 when he was like 17, 18 years old, specifically about Israel. So he's been on this for a long time. He's not just he's not late to the party, if you will, like a lot of others are. But he's also somebody who is extremely nationalistic. And if you are America first, then listen, if you're nationalistic, that's fine. There's a difference between being proud to be an American and proud to just be a white American and think that that's all that should exist. But he gets banned specifically because he does not hold back when it comes to the issue of Israel-Palestine. He is as direct about it as you can possibly get. He says that Israel controls our government and our policies and our economics. And you know what? He's right. They do. And so if he is moving the America First movement against Israel, which I believe he is, because that's how much of a reach he has. And all you have to do is look at other clips that are on YouTube right now covering things that he's talking about, and people are listening in a big way. He has a real, legitimate platform of influence. And he has called out Charlie Kirk time and again to debate him. And we're going to get to a little clip of that shortly. But he has been adamant. You believe in this shit? Speak out on it and debate me on it. I'm not a debate bro guy. I think most of that is bullshit. But you know what? Nick Fuentes would absolutely bury Charlie Kirk where he stands if they were ever to do that. So I will continue. Fuentes is a racist, sexist, rage baiter. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Sure.
That's not somebody that you can take the good with the bad. How can anybody take him seriously as a Christian? How can you go up there and pretend to be a godly man? Why? Because you tell people to get married? Oh, look, I have my kid. You know, he posted the other day, he's on Fox and Friends, and his daughter runs up and jumps into his lap. And we're supposed to look at this carefully manicured public relations material and say, aw, what a family man. What a good Christian. He's practically a pastor, the way he evangelizes the young. Well, it's a good thing Charlie Kirk's daughter doesn't live in Gaza, because his daughter would have been fucking murdered.
And yet Charlie constantly wants to talk about the world is a better place because of Israel. I don't know. I think he's wrong.
Let this play for a bit. I'm not exactly sure where he's going with this whole thing with him.
It's a good thing Charlie Kirk's daughter was born to a rich man in America who lies for a living and is paid by billionaires to do it, and wasn't born in Gaza. Because if Charlie Kirk, the family man, if him and his family were over there, if they were born in the wrong place at the wrong time, they would be getting shot in the back of the head for trying to get food and water while they were starving to death by the Israelis that they defend. And that's disgusting. It's especially disgusting in light of what he'll defend. Oh, look, his daughter's in the studio. She runs, oh, daddy. She runs up and jumps onto his lap. And then 2 days later, he goes on his show and says, they're babies. Babies are being starved to death. Well, Hamas is stealing the aid. They deserve it. It's collective guilt. They support Hamas. Release the hostages. It's sick. It's disgusting. And people need to push harder. We need to push for more.
And he's right.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting that we could sit here and in the same conversation be on the same team with Miss Rachel and Nick Fuentes on the same issue?
But that's where you know the walls are closing in on Israel. And we said this on the last stream. When the Democratic corporate establishment spent years saying that the walls were closing in on Trump with Russiagate, the walls really are closing in on Israel. Because as you said, if somebody like Miss Rachel, Nick Fuentes, or Mehdi Hassan, and Candace Owens, and Tucker Carlson, and
Tucker Carlson is interesting. Oh, I don't think I'm in that mix, but Tucker Carlson's very interesting to me.
Rania Khalek and Crystal Ball, as they did earlier today. This will not last. The hardest reality for all of us, as I've said time and again, is that we can't save the Palestinian people. We just can't. But what we can do is we can change the fortunes. Glenn Greenwald too, Noah, excellent point. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah.
I am too, Tony. You and me both. It's way more of a Peter Saturday TMZ thing, but he's doing it in a 2-part series. So he had to get part 1 in now so he could do the in-depth follow-up on Saturday with Osiris.
Thanks for pretending to actually care about this, Jen.
I do. No. I care about that he has an audience that he's talking to about Israel. That I care about. The crap is between, all the stuff about Nick Fuentes. I don't.
Could you guys explain exactly what this Groyper thing is? Because I know it's like a
Somebody
reference.
put it in the chat before.
Yeah, somebody was referring to the fact that Groyper is basically that's what they call the Fuentes supporters. But
yes,
I'm
it's
not
just, I guess it's a nicer phrase than incel.
Maybe. But as I said, there are, I get very upset because I have pointed out time and again on this show that I've dealt with a lot of economic anxiety in my life. I've been through this type of thing. And I'd like to think that I actually have opportunity. I have a channel that I work on with a friend that we've been doing a pretty good job building this thing up. I do have a career. And even that is not necessarily enough. Economic anxiety will find you wherever you go. Now, imagine what it's like growing up now and having to deal with the limited opportunities that are actually out there. Imagine having a president of the United States who gets a second quarter jobs report that is so bad, rather than say, well, we definitely have to do something to fix this problem with the jobs in this country. Instead, it's, you're totally fired. Don't you bring me a bad jobs report that's totally inappropriate. That's the solution. I mean, I know it's easy to get really angry, exuberant, and want to shout from the rooftops about how bad things are. But what good is that going to do? The only way we can solve this problem is if we collectively work together, even with people like Nick Fuentes, who is determined. I don't care what his reasoning is. I don't care if he hates Jews. I don't care if he's a bigot. If he's not pulling the levers of power, I don't give a shit. If he is fighting on the front lines to end Israel's stranglehold over our economic and political system at home and abroad, I will fight with him for it. And all of you should too.
It's not good enough. Donald Trump throwing a little throwaway statement. Oh, we need to get more food in there. Charlie Kirk saying, oh, I'll hear you out in Israel, but I'll basically do propaganda on their behalf. It's not good enough. You got to go, dude. You got to go. What has to happen with Charlie Kirk is one of two things. One, he needs to recant his support for Israel. Not I'm going to hear everybody out, you're not an anti-Semite. No, you need to come out and say, I took foreign money. I shilled for a foreign country, and I won't anymore. That's what we need to hear. That's option one. You can't take money from a foreign government and lie on their behalf and then say, oh, well, I'm just not going to be as aggressive anymore against and calling people anti-Semites and things like that. No, you need disclosure. You need accountability. Or two, you need to leave the stage. People
Can you pause for a
listen
second?
to somebody that they cannot.
Thanks for doing that in the middle, because now I miss my spot.
Well, I'm just not going to be as aggressive anymore against and calling people anti-Semites and things like that. No, you need disclosure. You need accountability.
You were saying?
I just wanted to say this. Donald James, you really have to stop thinking that we're going to vote our way out of this.
Yeah, really.
You're going to say we want Israel to stop. The voters have to make Israel stop. Our votes don't mean anything. They mean nothing. We have seen it. It has been demonstrated repeatedly that that only the very, very top, whatever 0.1% of people have their will represented in our policy and have actual Congress people working for them. So you really need to stop thinking. We are not voting our way out of this. This is an actual revolution. And yes, we are going to have to, unfortunately, oftentimes in times like this, lock arms with pieces of shit like this. That's how it has to work. And if you're scared of getting cooties, you're not going to be able to lock arms and be part of the revolution. It's just not going to work.
You know, they can bring the National Guard into Washington, D.C. and cover the nation's capital. You know what they can't do? They don't have a standing army big enough to cover all of the local city councils and municipalities throughout the country, the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of places that they would have to go. You know why? Because as we have been trying to point out forever, everything is local. You want change? Look at what Iowa City did. And you could do that in your own backyard if you want. You might not be able to get your federally elected representative to do it because they're all bought by corporate power. But remember, guys, they have the money. We have the numbers. We should have the power. But right now, this is tyranny because the people fear the government. The government does not fear the people. And we have to change that. Somebody like Nick Fuentes would tell you to make the government fear the people.
Or two, you need to leave the stage. People cannot listen to somebody that they cannot trust. In particular, cannot trust that they're not taking money from a foreign government. You can't have it that way. Can't call yourself Turning Point USA. I'm an ally of the president. We're waving the flag for the young people and do the rest.
He's right. But this is also why Charlie Kirk is not going to do any of those things, because Charlie Kirk is compromised. Just like Ben Shapiro was compromised.
And here's the thing. People in the chat, of course, are all getting in a tizzy about, you know, you're propping up Nick Fuentes and he's a racist and he's all this stuff. Yeah, all of those things are all true. If you wanted us to only talk about like the best of us, we would have to have like the 24/7 Dolly Parton, Miss Rachel channel here. Like that's just not how this is going to work. We have to address these things.
We're going to get to Mamdani in a minute. But you need to understand, Donald, as we say to everybody else, you're not as big as you think you are. Which is much like we see on social media when people think that, while it is a reflection of, I think, how a lot of people feel, there are millions upon millions of people in this country. And most of them don't pay any attention to politics at all. I mean, they probably do to the extent that they know that things are starting to get really bad. But in the end, you cannot separate the two.
But what is one of the big distinctions is when you're dealing with stuff locally, you're not dealing with partisan hackery, and you're not. Correct. Look at this.
It's not going to work, Colinello.
It's not going to happen. You have got to understand this.
I am not even going to address this because it's so fucking pointless, but I am going to just say that if you saw the Instagram post that has 500,000 likes for AOC because she took a trip to Puerto Rico and did a whole bunch of like personal photos with like friends and she's out partying and stuff like that. This is a sitting congresswoman, God damn it. I don't give a fuck what she does in her private life. I care that she is a shitty congressperson. She sucks at her job. Sucks at it.
And that's the great white hope for the party, right? Like that's what's going to pull them to the left, Colinello.
She couldn't shine Ilhan Omar's or Rashida Tlaib's shoes on her best fucking day because she doesn't believe in anything other than her career. That's the problem. Everybody goes out there and is loving her content. Ooh, Alex, look, she has a great time. Ooh, Alex, go run for president. That's not going to solve anything, ever. She won't even go out there right now and lock arms with somebody like Miss Rachel. She could be using her platform in a way that Marjorie Taylor Greene could only dream of doing. Marjorie Taylor Greene has a couple of million people that follow her. Alex has 15 million. And what does she do with it? She shows how.
So we need to address the cool girl channel. Enough. You want to stay? You want to learn something? That's great. I'm Jewish. My whole family's Jewish. Shut the fuck up about it. Now you're just pissing me off.
Again, you're going to have trolls.
What?
You got trolls. You're just going to deal with it. As our channel grows,
I'm not. I'll delete them as they come. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to sit here and have somebody refer to me as a Jew. Are you kidding me? In my chat? This is like my living room. Again, we do this because we like to do this. So I'm not going to sit here and look at that kind of shit.
If we could put a bookend on this long segment, This is a unexpected call that Charlie Kirk. Charlie his ego is so fucking big that he really loves this idea that people want to call in and talk to him. But when he doesn't screen the right person, you get a call like this.
President Donald Trump saying, once we liberate D.C., and by the way, I guarantee that it's going to go whoop, it's going to go way down. President Donald Trump saying, once we liberate D.C., and by the way, I guarantee that it's going to go whoop, it's going to go way down. And then the media will say, oh, it's only going down because he brought in the military. Exactly. We need full military occupation of these cities until the crime desists.
Is this guy out of his fucking mind?
He's just a total sycophant. That's it. I mean, he's just a total sycophant. Either he is being paid.
Do what I ask you to do.
He's being paid, and who knows what else? Who knows? He's also could be a religious zealot for all I know, and just doesn't. I don't know.
Do you really think he believes that?
I don't know. I think that so much of it is hypocrisy that it's very hard for me to believe that any of the people that spout religion actually follow it. And by follow it, I mean really adhere, like really follow it. So to me, it's all a bunch of hypocrisy, and especially people like this.
Fuentes is 1,000% right about this guy. Somebody called into his show, snuck in and asked him, would you debate Charlie Kirk? Or Charlie Kirk, would you debate Nick Fuentes? And Charlie proceeds to say, I don't debate trolls. You're the troll, Charlie boy. Little face.
Period. We need a desisting of crime in our cities. We're not going to put up with it. I want to be able to walk Magnificent Mile in Chicago without having to look over my shoulder.
The entitlement of people with money and power is absolutely incredible. It never ceases to amaze me. But I don't know, Jen. What do you think of Nick Fuentes?
I'm not impressed. He's apparently racist, sexist, misogynist. Like what is there to like? Broken clock is right twice a day. So he's got the right position on Israel. So do a lot of people that aren't pieces of shit. So I don't know what the deal is with him. I don't know that I'm with, who was saying it? Tony D, that he's shocked that I would sit here through this. I'm still waiting to find out like why I care about Nick Fuentes.
Well, don't worry. I won't make you suffer. I'll take care of it on Saturday. I think that there's obviously a lot more to the Nick
see how he does that. Like he says it like he's protecting me, like he's going to take it. He's going to take that bullet for me like a martyr. Yeah. That's how he puts it out there. He's going to spare me the discussion.
That's not what I said. Why are you saying it like that? That's rude. Don't do that. I know you think it's funny, but it's really not.
It is funny because you say it like you're protecting me by sparing me.
Well, I do agree that the whole broken clock concept is true. However, we have to be cognizant about what type of a movement is building around Nick Fuentes and how so much of it can end up becoming this anti-Jewish movement and not just an anti-Israel movement.
Well, he's someone that I have reason to believe is also anti-Jewish. So that's sure. A problem. Like if he truly is an anti-Semite, then yeah, I'd be on the same team with him to get money out of Israel, sure. But that's as far as that's going to go. And then I'm going to think he's a piece of shit and I'm going to go my own way. Right? Like we're not going to, right? Like I'm not going to want to cross-pollinate.
All right, the Cool Girl channel. You are officially banned from this channel. You don't write the K word in the chat, just like you don't write the N word.
Wait, somebody put the K word in the chat?
Yeah, he called you a kike. I was like,
oh,
okay. Oh, you're out now.
Wow.
If you were looking for a reason to be removed, you found it. You
were telling me not to focus on the trolls, but yeah, I'm going to go.
Well, it's just unbelievable hypocrisy because, again, the person was black. And if I use the N word to refer to them, I don't think they would like it. So it's like people are weird.
Well, look, if people want to be ignorant, they can be ignorant. If people want to equate Jews with Zionists, that's just what we're going to have to bear. That's just what's going to have to suck.
Yes,
and
but
to some extent, that is on us because many of us were complacent in allowing it to get to this point in the first place. So I understand the anger about that. I'm angry that I was participated in that. So I'm angry at me for that. But it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm Jewish. It has to do with the fact that we were brainwashed as our Christian Zionists. So that's the problem. So we're hating on Jews is not going to fly here. It's just not going to fly here. And ironically, I'm an atheist. So, all of it. But it's just a lot of my people in my life that have been the most important people in my whole world in life were Jewish. So, I'm only going to let that go so far. Truth, and there's always going to be the people that just want to hate. They want to hate. There's the people that hate Jews for Jesus, or hate that Jews for killing Jesus, that are still back in that mentality, your Mel Gibson types of the world. And you're going to have people that are now going to equate us completely with the Zio ethno state. And that's just that, that's our cross to bear.
All I'm going to tell you is that you really have to pay. I'm not saying that he is anti-Muslim or that he's Nick Fuentes.
Oh, is he anti-Muslim too?
No, he's not.
Yeah, haters going to hate.
But what I will say is that language matters, and I do think that there is an inherent danger with that. I would say that the greatest danger is that you have way too many Jews in America that keep their mouth shut. That's their problem. You want to know why anti-Semitism is off the charts? Because there are way too many Jews who do not agree with Israel, probably don't even support it, but because of their social standing and how some of their friends might feel, that they don't actually step up and say something. Well, guess what? Eventually, you're not going to have much of a choice because everyone's going to be coming for you. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do when it becomes, it's not these Israelis, it's not the Zionists, it's the Jews?
Thank you, Not Malix. I appreciate that. I like that, but I feel like that's my burden, but I do appreciate the support. But the world would be better if people didn't want to be so ignorant, but a lot of people are just really stuck in their shit.
And the one thing I will also point out is that one thing Nick Fuentes has been doing constantly on social media, I've noticed, is that he is finding his way always into Charlie Kirk's replies and getting a lot of traction. And one of the things that he said in the chat today, which we will talk about on Saturday, and I will talk about with my friend Osiris, who is black, and specifically said that America needs to be a white country or a white majority country.
Who said that?
Nick Fuentes. And so
that's so gross.
So when we say that there are things that Fuentes is doing that is detrimental to the movement, when you're trying to fix this problem, there's a reason why there is validity to what people are saying, that locking arms with Nick Fuentes is a dangerous game.
I don't understand. If he thinks America should be a white-only country, where does he suggest
that's not what he said. That's
go?
not what he said. No, that's not what he said. He said that it should remain a white majority country. That's what he said.
Okay, how is that different? That's an apartheid situation. That's the same thing as what Israel does. Ironic that he doesn't like it there. So in other words, he doesn't like the apartheid state here, but he likes the concept of it there, but he doesn't like it here.
Well, I think it gets back to the same issue which we've been talking about the whole time, which is this is predominantly a financially motivated position on a lot of people's parts. They know that so much of our economy is tied up in Israel's maneuverings, if you will. And so I do think that plays a role. But again,
I'm starting to see like that's not. Yeah, you don't get to the broken clock right twice a day kind of works for people that have more neutral positions, right?
Sure.
Where maybe you hit it right. You don't get to think that having a superior race is okay for this country, but you don't like it in another country. That doesn't work for me.
And that is exactly what I would say. Well, again, it's sort of the same argument about Do you want it from a conservative lens or a liberal lens? It doesn't matter, because either way, you're going to get to the same place. And either we are going to figure out how to band together to end this attempt to...
John Hanley, it's Jewish supremacy that's the problem along with white supremacism. Yes, but also understand how those things intersect and understand that the Jewish supremacy was created based on white supremacy. So this comes from Europe, and it comes from a time where Jews were treated as non-whites. And they really, and so the whole Zionist principle is based on this idea of making Jews have their whole own, ethnicity, and then we'll be treated like the Europeans and we'll be white. So that came from wanting to fit in with that paradigm that was a white supremacist paradigm. So yes, it's Jewish supremacy, but the Jewish supremacy that is Zionist is based on white supremacy, because very, very Orthodox religious and Hasidic Jews, that if anybody were to be Jewish supremacists, they're not with Zios. So it really is very interconnected with white supremacy.
Which is also why I think it is our obligation as a channel to say, on the one hand, that Fuentes is correct in his assertion about Israel and what it's doing. But at the same time, and I'm going to bring this up on Saturday, do not forget who he is and what his message is. This is no different than what I've been saying about Dan Bilzerian. It's the same thing. The only difference is that Nick Fuentes is actually good at messaging. Dan Bilzerian is just a very rich Nepo baby who, daddy is a freaking criminal that gave him the keys to the kingdom, essentially. But if your answer is always it's the Jews, it's like you're continuing to perpetuate the the Nazi messaging, if you will. And that's the problem. Let's focus on the messaging that, in my opinion, actually still matters. Let's get to our
good messaging. You have good messaging?
We have a very good ending segment, if you will, that I think will be a lot more fun. So one more time, guys, make sure you go to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. And of course, we do have a few more super chats that we want to get to. JG 1982, as always, thank you, my friend, for the $10. The term Groyper refers to a loose network of white nationalist activists and internet trolls. They are primarily followers of Nick Fuentes, a white supremacist. This is Google. Seems reasonable. I'll buy it.
Okay.
JG 1982 with the $2. Kirk is a good master debater. Only if the person is a young lady who's in college. Am I right? Am I right? That's what it seems like. And Saul Duarte, good to see you, sir. Thank you for the $5. Yeah, I believe Nick and Stu Peters are divide and corner agents. Nick is right on 90%, but the 10% is all Anglo supremacy. Now, that's a bad 10%, if you ask me. Doesn't solve anything.
It's a problem. It's a real problem, because that 10% is a burden on everything else. It makes it hard to sort of progress when people have that mindset. So it's a bigger thing. Even though it might just be 10%, it's a big 10%.
Couldn't agree more. Why don't we talk about
this? I like this. Adam Jamal says, we will also never forget the Jewish people are some of the strongest voices in the pro-Palestinian movement. Big salam from a North African Amazigh Muslim to all peace lovers around the world. Thank you so much, Adam Jamal.
Thank you for being here, Adam.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Well, let's talk about somebody who I think we can all agree on. Now, as the race for mayor of New York City enters, we're almost through the summer. Once the fall hits, that's when things really start to pick up. But there was a YouGov poll that just came out for the mayor's race in New York City, and Zohran Mamdani sits at 50% of the vote. Cuomo is way behind at 22%. Curtis Silva is actually at 15%. And soon to be out of power, Mayor Eric Adams is sitting at, I believe, 11%. So there you go. But to the credit. Are you a silly wabbit? to the credit of Zohran and his team, they are not taking any chances. They are going right for the jugular to knock Cuomo out. This is the ad that Zohran dropped this week.
Years ago, Andrew Cuomo resigned in disgrace, and you probably know why.
The governor's office kept the nursing home death data secret.
Cuomo aggressively groped an aide.
Inappropriately touched a female state trooper.
Use of state resources.
I'm Italian. That's the reason.
Oh, that's just how we are. We just have to be a little rapey, I guess.
Could you imagine getting
paid?
No,
and I've been with plenty of Italian people. That's not a thing. It's gross.
How do you get an Italian to stop talking?
You hold their hands, tie their hands down. But that's true for Jews too. I kind of get that. I really do appreciate that Zohran is coming out with this because, everybody on or in those sort of, we're the peace people. You don't want to play dirty. You don't want to do negative ads. He doesn't want to do this, right? He wants to give people housing and care. That's what he wants to do. He's forced, based on the system of suck that's been created by pieces of shit like this guy, to have to participate in this ridiculous performative crap because unfortunately it does work. So while it bothers me that he has to do this, he's doing a really good job of it and he's keeping it completely professional and relevant.
Substantive. What more can you ask for?
For a COVID-19 memoir.
Less well known is what he spent the last 4 years doing, besides getting trounced in the Democratic primary.
Okay. Well, we need
okay. That was kind of cool. Let's play that again. Go back. That was actually good. Go back. That was good. Guys, watch this.
Spent the last 4 years doing, besides getting trounced in the Democratic primary.
I love that. That's so good.
And I've also been saying for the longest time that, one of the more underrated aspects of why I believe Zohran is going to win and probably win pretty easily is the sore loser effect. There are people who voted in the primary. And remember, this is a super majority Democratic city. Sorry, Staten Island, you just don't count that much. And they're going to they're going to see the fact that, wait a minute. This guy's running against him again.
We already voted against him. Yes.
So why is he doing
this? Obnoxious. That's how people must have felt in friggin' Buffalo.
But there's also the voter out there who may have initially voted for Cuomo, who's now looking at this and saying, yeah, that's so not cool, which is why the poll numbers are now reflecting a much more sizable margin than 12 points in favor of Mamdani. Now, granted, it was just one poll, but the average of polls right now has Mamdani up 14 points on Cuomo, which means that he's in a very comfortable position. And as you've pointed out before, unless there is some sizable scandal that they are holding on to, that they think they're going to be. But again, Cuomo is a scandal-ridden politician.
It doesn't. I guarantee you that we've talked about this. They've already spent a fortune of money trying to find dirt on Zohran. If there was anything at all, they would be putting up his traffic violations if they were sufficient enough to make a thing of it. They've already done such a dive into him. They don't know what to do with themselves.
The level of desperation to knock him off is kind of hilarious at this point.
Oh, and he thinks so too, which is why it's so amusing. At this point, and this is why I like him, I hope he's the real deal because he is enjoying where he's at. You could tell he likes what he's doing. And that shows.
Very confident.
He's very confident and he's very comfortable.
100%.
And the fact that he is mocking how desperate they are is really endearing to me. It's really good. And with the perfect amount of fuck you, but professional at the same time. I think it's great. I love it.
We've talked about this. There is nothing wrong with an attack ad as long as it is 100% substantive. That's all that matters. Just as long as it's honest.
And not personal.
100%.
In 2022, Cuomo started Innovation Strategies LLC to represent individuals and corporations in a variety of matters. Definitely not vague. Last year, it raked in more than $500,000. Who paid for Cuomo's services? He refuses to say. But what journalists have been able to piece together is troubling. In April, Bloomberg revealed that Cuomo advised a cryptocurrency exchange based in the Seychelles as it faced federal investigations. Then in May, Politico reported that Cuomo failed to disclose $2.6 million in stock options to the New York City Conflicts of Interest Board. His excuse? The stocks were technically owned by Innovation Strategies, LLC, of which he's the sole proprietor.
Well, isn't that special?
Yeah, you think you're going to get away with a little bit of this hanky-panky here and there?
I think, you know what? I mean, I think this is great. And his whole attitude about this, and the reason he can do this is because he is that clean. He is. He is so squeaky clean. He knows, and that's yeah. They would have already had so much on this guy.
Yeah, but is he going to maintain that once he's in office? That's the big question.
To be determined.
Finally, in June, the New York Times uncovered that Cuomo had worked with his longtime friend Andrew Farkas on a luxury marina project in Puerto Rico. Farkas's previous partner on luxury marinas in the Caribbean, Jeffrey Epstein.
Love it. He brings it full circle to Epstein. This is really a perfect ad.
It is. And
he hits all the buttons about that. Linking Epstein. I love how he does like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon between Cuomo and Epstein, like that.
If you're going to put Epstein in an ad in this context,
it's great.
It's gutsy.
Oh,
it is.
He's definitely like waving a red cape at a bull.
Oh yeah, he's like telling Cuomo. Well, you know what I also think. I think there are things that we don't see that Cuomo has been doing behind the scenes, kind of like things that, Hillary was doing to Bernie.
Or stuff Debbie's done to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Debbie did to you, where it became this whole, oh, you don't think we're going to fight back? Okay. Again, the only reason you couldn't really fight back against Debbie is because you didn't have the money. You needed the money. If you had the money to do these things.
Of course, he's got money.
Yeah. Well, again, he does come from an affluent family.
That's not why he has money, though. He has money because he's been raising money.
100%. And there's again, just as our friend Nina Turner says, we do not take a vow of poverty.
No.
Nobody should. In fact, what the hell are we
the fact that he's linking him to Epstein is so great. But I also think, and this is where you're going to see a huge difference between what the old politics of somebody like Cuomo and sort of new politics of Zohran, and where these things look so different, because Zohran totally knows that he's baiting Cuomo. He wants him to lose his cool and be desperate and angry. And he knows that he's doing that because somebody like Cuomo, he's just all in his ego. I'm not going to use derogatory terms from like that I know from The Godfather, but he's all in his ego, right? So, and Mamdani is just playing it so cool and baiting him. And Cuomo, he will hang himself. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be great.
I wouldn't say that it's a knockout punch, but I would definitely say that for somebody who saw the recent polling and now is doing an ad like this, yeah, he's basically trying to land a knockout blow 2 months before the election.
3
months before the election, I should say, on Cuomo. He's basically trying to get him to quit. And you know what? Maybe he will.
Jeffrey Epstein.
We had a finance chair like none other, Andrew Farkas.
That's the thing about Andrew Cuomo. Once you think you found out about all of his scandals, you find out about another, and then another, and then probably another. But if my friend, the disgraced former governor of the state of New York, feels that's unfair, Habibi, release your client list.
Oh! Oh!
And he throws in the Habibi. It's so good. That was so beautiful. That pleases me on so many levels. I really hope he does turn out to be a good mayor and stick up for his people and protect his people. I do hope that. In all sincerity, but man, what is Cuomo's move going to be? Because there's no way that is going unresponded to.
Well, listen, as far as I'm concerned at this point, they'll probably just try to manufacture something.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. So whatever that, be aware, people, Wait for the false flag about Zohran because they're running out of ideas.
They are. But that doesn't mean that he isn't doing it the right way.
Oh, Cuomo is going to go lose his shit.
Yeah, he's 1,000% going for the throat, and that's what you have to do when you know you've got your opponent in a corner. They are. I mean, we have said, and you have said that more than anything else, Zohran just needs to protect himself.
Oh, he's so good. It's so amusing. Like, oh, he knows, because I am not proud to say it, but there were very moments during our campaign, especially the first time, where knowing that Debbie was having a Marsha moment really satisfies. So I know what that feels like. And he is enjoying every second of it, sticking it in Cuomo's face.
I do
as well he should, because Cuomo, the nerve of him to run for this position. He is the disgraced governor. Like, think about how pathetic that is, that he's even running for that job.
Well, how desperate is the corporate establishment to try to maintain this current system? Like,
I just think it looks pathetic. It reeks of pathetic, and most people see it as pathetic. But, Cuomo is just so, it's just so dated. We just don't want that anymore. He's like New York's version, how I feel of like Hillary. It's like, just go away. Go away. Or Obama. Nobody wants that anymore. We didn't even really want it in the first place. You lied about what it was, and then so we agreed to it, but just go away. That's how I feel about all things Cuomo. And he needs to take Fredo with him, because that moron has been going off on a whole different ridiculous nonsense of tangent. He is too stupid to fucking live, Chris Cuomo. I'm sorry. He is a fucking moron. He is like a gym bro that someone gave a microphone to, and I just go away.
Could you imagine what Chris Cuomo was like growing up? Could you imagine what type of
he was the most annoying baby brother ever that they had to keep bailing out of trouble because he was a fucking idiot?
No, I was also going to say like what he was like in school, like what a punk he probably was. And just like a guy who just thought he was, I'm Mario Cuomo's son.
Yes, he's totally that. And he had his big brother. Yeah, totally.
I wish somebody who went to school with him in the 70s and 80s would like come out and be like, yeah, he was a total douchebag, like of the worst kind. Like, okay, thanks.
Most of the time, people are who they are.
Oh yeah, Chris Cuomo has not changed. Like, he's always been that way.
No, he's gross. They're all gross, and that's what's so funny. But he is just so fucking stupid. He says just really stupid shit comes out of his mouth. Like, I don't know how he has a show.
I think in many ways.
Did he get fired?
I saw a clip the other day that I didn't even see the clip. Trust me, I did not see it. I swear to God, I did not watch it. But I saw that there was a clip that David Pakman did talking about like some witness, some supposed whistleblower of Trump that they got the exclusive with.
Who's they? Pakman?
Yeah, Pakman. Yeah, because he's so damn important.
The only way he has an exclusive is it's some operative and they paid him. I mean, what kind of exclusive would somebody give to Pakman?
Well, that's a good point, but here's the kicker. The clip itself, which dropped like over a week ago, is at 1.7 million views. The only way that type of thing happens, much like the photo we showed of Pakman and the whole bunch of other Dem establishment content creators showed up at the White House and did a photo op with Biden and all that. When you get onto the Google algorithm, when you are given passage, if you will, we did a clip the other day that we got lucky with that caught the algorithm for Howard Stern and Roger Waters. Now, our average clips are doing decent, 4,000 views maybe on average. This clip is going to hit 40,000 views probably in the next day or so. Sometimes you just get lucky. And even for something of that size, it's still a nice thing because it helps our channel grow. How could somebody like Pakman or any of these other guys, like a Fredo Cuomo, how can that happen? But again, how does that happen? It happens because the algorithm decides that you are going to get Chris Cuomo in your feed, or you're going to get News Nation in your feed, and you're going to see him. And that's it. There are so many people that find our channel and say, I'm so glad that I found you guys. Sometimes it's just happenstance. You get lucky and you discover us. But could you imagine the amount of new subscribers we'd had if we really caught the algorithm and got another 200,000-300,000 views on a clip? You know, that's how it is. So when someone says, oh, how is somebody like Chris Cuomo relevant? Because the algorithm agrees with him.
His people are the algorithm.
They are. That's a huge part of it. You know?
Yeah.
And this is.
Thank you, Not Malix.
And I know you're new, Not Malix, and it's great to have you here. And like you said, I don't know how we showed up. I guess we just got lucky.
Well, you know what? When you cross-pollinate with enough people and mention enough people in your clips, and enough people cover the same issue. So he was watching something that we were covering.
Okay, I have to point something out. In Monkey Business, great to have you here.
Why are they both paper clips?
I was just going to say, I saw a clip that went viral on YouTube the other day that said that everyone should change their profile picture to the paper clip.
But based on what? Is there a particular thing?
You know what? I'm not sure. I didn't watch it, but the message was basically
because the paperclip project is actually has to do
Operation
with
Paperclip.
No, I don't know what that is. No, but there was something called the Paperclip Project that happened at a school out of, I want to say it was in Kansas a few years back.
Louis Rossman is calling people to action in the name of consumer rights. So that's essentially what the Paperclip is about. That's the new version of Operation Paperclip.
Okay.
We have one more story to cover this evening. You know, Jen, you have been saying at great length that you don't know, we all don't know, again, what has gotten into Tucker Carlson.
He's having an awakening of sorts. He's having an awakening. And, you know, good, whatever the reasons are for it, if it helps facilitate an understanding that his people will learn a thing or two that follow him, good.
I want to preface this with why I wanted to talk about this in the first place. Now, for those of you who obviously have been paying attention lately regarding what type of content Tucker has been doing, he decided to have on, because Tucker is Catholic and he's a very proud Catholic, and he tries to live by the scripture. To his credit, I don't think he is anything close to holier than art thou. However, he did decide to bring on the nun Mother Agapia the other day from Italy, and this is
she's not from Italy. Or is she in Italy now? Because she originally said she was in Palestine.
I think you're right about that. Well, I think she's Italian but living in Palestine.
No, she's American.
So she's American. Okay,
she was born here, and she is a nun in Bethlehem. She is a nun. She is a nun amongst the original Christian people. Okay, like the people that if you do their DNA test, they are the direct descendants of like the original Christians. They've been there since like the Canaanites, and then they are the first Christians. So
that's also the thing about a lady who happens to look like this, is that in reality, she's probably as close to looking like Jesus actually would have looked like.
She's an American.
Yeah.
This is an American woman who now lives there.
Now, I don't want to single out any one particular person, but anybody who's been paying attention to the Zionists online, they have all been going after this woman because she is a very homely and unattractive person, but that's on purpose because her mission in life is to serve God and nothing more. And I respect that.
This is the dumbest quote or the dumbest tweet. Like, who, you know, you push lies to justify your Jew hate. I don't like, who are these people?
So we've seen all of the other Jewish Zionists say the same bullshit, but we have to keep a balance here, because the one thing that we have pointed out time and again is that Judaism and Zionism are not one and the same. In fact, there is a much more sizable Christian Zionist population in the United States. Although I think we really have to stop calling it a Christian Zionist population.
I think she might be Greek Orthodox. She had spoken about it a little bit, but she lives in the old cities, in the original. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, I thought you were going to play the clip.
No, I am in a minute, but I want
Okay.
to preface this with this pastor, Greg Locke. Again, it's not about, are you a Christian Zionist? Are you an evangelical Zionist? Because that's really what it is. The Catholics, for the most part, are not on board with any of this, but the evangelicals are. And it is a huge reason why in so many states, led by Texas, where they basically, you are committing a crime if you speak out against Israel. And the reason they do that in Texas is because there is no state with a greater population of evangelicals that support this idea of radical support for the state of Israel. That's where it comes from. That's where the Hagees come from. That's where the Austins come from. But even Pastor Locke here happens to come from Tennessee, Lebanon, Tennessee, to be exact, which is, I believe, a suburb of Nashville. And so this is what this douche canoe has.
The propaganda machine has tried to destroy the credibility of your people in Israel. But we break that spirit of propaganda on the internet that has lied and sowed discord and deception, especially to the younger generation, because we know that your word still stands. When you looked at Abraham and you said, I will bless them that bless you, and I will curse them that curse you. And God, may we be a people that will never compromise or flinch in the face of adversity when it comes to the Jewish nation.
Now pay me my money. I mean, that's the first thing he's thinking about, isn't it?
Well, this is just the hypocrisy of everything. But this is the person who was criticizing Tucker for speaking with the nun?
Correct. Well, he's real Christian.
So the interview with her is much more interesting than this, right? Like, I don't know why you focus on this douche.
Just wanted to give you guys an idea of why these evangelical nut jobs like this guy Locke is coming out and making this statement, because in an abbreviated version, you're going to see exactly what the message was that Mother Apolaya was putting out there on Tucker's interview. Remember, why are they coming after Tucker so hard? This has been pointed out by Glenn Greenwald multiple times. Tucker Carlson today has the biggest podcast on Spotify. That's the reason.
Like many Jews are protesting and saying, not in our name, there has to be much more done by the Christians in America, because these Christian Zionists are speaking in our name. Someone like Ted Cruz is saying and doing what he's doing because he's following a Christianity that is not the Christianity of the Holy Land.
You know that's going to set him off. You know that's going to set off all of the Zionist donors. And remember, so much of this is wrapped up in money and power.
But she really gives Tucker an education on how hard it is. And you can tell now, granted, this is the kind of shit that bothers me, where he cares a lot when she's saying how hard it is for Christians to practice their religion there. And it is. If you're Christian and you live in the occupied West Bank, and you want to practice your religion at your holy sites that are in Jerusalem, you can't go there. You can't go there. And it's right there. Like, it's right there, but you can't go there. So when she's explaining to him how Israel basically prohibits Christians from practicing Christianity and makes it very difficult for them to practice their faith. And you could tell that he is very disturbed by that. And so it's like, I'm glad to see he's getting an education and an awakening, but it bothers me that it's like it only bothers him in as much as more so how it's affecting Christians versus just how it's affecting everyone who's not Jewish.
No, but he has spoken out against the state of Israel
recently. This is very new to him, but yes.
We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel.
It's a heretical belief.
What is Christian Zionism?
Mm-hmm. It's sort of this cruel bargain they have going with Israel, because basically what they say that they're going to be swooped up into heaven, right? And then there's going to be 1,000-year kingdom. And then there'll be the end of the world and the judgment by Christ, and he'll come back. This is a false, it was condemned as a heresy in 381, because basically there is no 1,000-year millennium to come. No 1,000-year period. We are in that time period now. It's.
I mean, think about everything that's going on all around us. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
He's right. And the fact that she charges like a bull at Ted Cruz is, again, I mean, Ted Cruz, he is the worst of the worst, but he's also the senator from Texas. And Texas is the most prominent state in the nation that houses the most evangelical Christians. It's the second most populous state in the country. And there are millions upon millions of evangelical Christian Zionists that are in that state. And so for her to go directly at him is an affront to everything that they've been preaching.
It's a false belief there.
So basically what they're arguing is that Jesus coming the first time wasn't enough?
Yeah, and it's like, in a way, it's denying the Messiah.
That's where, you can sort of see. So people like her are sort of like, she's the Christian equivalent of like Rabbi Shapiro, right? Like, she is the one that's recognizing what people have done and how they have totally bastardized their religions and trying their best to put it out there that no, that's not how this is supposed to go. I appreciate what she was doing, but you could see, I mean, guys, if you get a chance to watch that interview with Tucker Carlson, it's actually really good, where she explains to him exactly how challenging it is to be a Christian in the birthplace of Christianity.
And why do you think that is?
Why is it difficult?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know why it is. It's because the apartheid. So you've got, Israel with their illegal settlements and the border walls and the illegal highways, and they build things.
Is it a big, beautiful wall? That's all.
A big, beautiful wall. Well, something that Tucker found out in this interview in particular that was very interesting is that in one location where the wall is that Israel built to, of course, keep the Palestinians on their side, was literally built through what was a Christian school. And they had to tear down the Christian school to build this wall. And the wall, and she explains it, the wall is actually inside Palestine. So they expanded their border when they did it, and they took out a Christian school in the process. So, this is, a lot of this gets lost in this sort of Jew versus Muslim narrative that we sort of perceive this as. When we look at Israel versus Palestine, it's like this very Jew versus Muslim concept, but it isn't. It's Zionism versus everyone else. And the Christians are just as screwed in this mess as the Muslims.
Whatever it's going to take to end it is ultimately what we have to get on board with. That's why sometimes our supporters make strange bedfellows, and we do have another clip from Mother Apalia with Tucker Carlson.
Could have a Christian AIPAC group. Of course, going on.
Like, you're not allowed to shoot up the Church of the Nativity. Sorry. No. I mean, even if you're agnostic on the politics of it or whatever, which is fine, maybe preferable, but you can't do that to Christians. How about no?
I agree 100%.
Where's Ted Cruz in all this? Ted Cruz talks about how he's a Christian. Mike Johnson, as the Speaker of the House, talks about how he's a Christian. Well, they talk about it a lot.
We have to battle AIPAC and the Christian Zionists by the Christians standing up, say, not in my name. We can't be doing this. So if they're getting money from these organizations, then Christians have to have enough concern to say, I don't want this happening in my name.
She'd be a great guest for Casey.
Yeah.
I don't think Casey does guests, but she would be. But that's what I'm saying. She's the Christian equivalent of a lot of the very Orthodox Jews that have been saying, no, this is not what we're with. And I think that she made a very good point of explaining how it's like that's their battle to fight is amongst her own people. They're, just like I feel like that with my tribesmen.
Well, that's why I think the message that she's putting out there is an excellent message, because unfortunately, as I will continue to maintain, the biggest problem that we have in the United States right now in the Jewish communities is that they are cowards. Like, they're fucking cowards. They will not speak out, even though I am sure you have spoken to quite a few of them who have said, I don't agree with this, but I don't exactly want to have to ostracize myself from my, friends and family. Well, guess what? They're not your friends and they're not your family if they think that their lives are more important than somebody else's. But a lot of people feel that way. It's not.
Well, for a lot of people, and I've said this before, it's livelihood too. And I do not begrudge people needing to survive in this world. So, I understand it to some extent, and everything is contextual. Every situation is slightly different.
That's true, but there's still no excuse. I make that decision every day, knowing that there are people in my line of work that I could work with, but I know that if I do, I wouldn't be able to live with myself because I know that.
And if you had a wife and kids, your perspective on that might be different.
I wouldn't put myself in that position.
Okay. My point is that it's not, don't judge. People have to do what they have to do.
I get it.
No, and to my brothers in Christ.
Right. We're supposedly a country based on a Judeo-Christian heritage, right? So where is that Judeo-Christian heritage when you're destroying the very foundations of it? St. Jerome translated the Bible in Bethlehem. The cells where he was at are under the Church of the Nativity. The very roots of our Christian heritage are there, and we're letting it be destroyed.
What would you say to Ted Cruz, the self-proclaimed Christian, supporting tank shells fired at crosses? Like, what is that?
We have to defend Christian values, American values.
She's right.
Well, and that makes sense. And notice how she says them separate. She is, she's very clear. This is both Christian values and American values. They're separate. I like that.
And once again, let's just focus on her looks, because what other argument could the Zion-Nazis possibly have?
Well, it is irrelevant. I mean, you know what? So there's not, it is what it is. That's not a priority. It's just not a priority. I mean, that's what people are going to focus on when they have no substance to talk about.
And that's why Zionism is eventually going to collapse altogether, because there is no substance. It is our job to continue to fight on the front lines of this issue. That's how we use our platform. That's how we will continue to use it. We are grateful for everyone that has joined us this evening. One last time before we do conclude for the evening, remember, guys, we are a small but mighty and growing channel. Please go to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You could become a supporter of our small but mighty channel. Keep on a lookout for our upcoming clip in less than a half an hour. Make sure that you like and comment and share that once it drops. We do have a couple of more super chats that came in, so we want to give a big shout out, as always, to our amazing supporters. And of course, JG1982 is always there to support with a $4 super sticker. I like how you mix up the numbers. You go 2, you go 5, you go 4, you go 10.
It's cool because they're always different colors.
Yeah, don't let JG have to handle all the financial burden of us being able to put bread on the table, guys. We need everybody to chip in if they can. JG1982 with the $2. Where's Debbie Hiss? Well, I
don't
guess,
summon it.
Yeah.
Don't summon it. I see so they're talking about making fun of her looks. She's a nun. And not all nuns are unattractive necessarily, but I was going to say something about her that, she is someone, just listening to her speak, and not even from these clips, but the other parts of the interview. Like, this is someone who was born here, who picked up her life to move closer to the origins of Christ. She's dedicated her life to that. She lives in a way that walks the walk. And so that I respect that immensely.
I do too. If you walk the walk, if you are an honest operator, much like the Muslims that we met at various mosques when Jen ran for Congress, they do walk the walk, and they are good people. They are very Christ-like, if you want to call it that, and they do view Christ as a I guess you would call him a prophet. So yeah, so one of the 5 prophets. But with that said, evangelism, any form of Zionism, has to go. And it especially has to go from the, thank you, not Malix, thank you for the $1. $1 we take everything we could get. We are certainly appreciative. But yeah, the change is going to happen. And we believe that it is possible. And I know for many people, it's a sort of a dire circumstance right now, but we will keep fighting the good fight. We appreciate those of you that did stick it out tonight. It was a smaller audience, but we got into the 220s. But at the end of the day, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And the quality of our audience is incredibly strong. We are so grateful that you are all here, that you are supporting our channel. I will be live with my good friend Osiris from the Stuck in the Middle podcast on Saturday. We do have a lot of guests lined up that you guys are going to enjoy. It's not going to just be Jen and I. We've got...
No, I'm excited, guys. We're having Nathan Robinson come on, and I've been watching him for years. So, like, that's a cool one for me. I'm excited about that.
So Nathan will join us next Thursday. Rachel, if you can real quick, just drop in the chat who we are going to have as guests on the channel. Next for like the next few weeks, we've got quite a few coming up. We've got Mel and Janine Yanis. They have their own channel, big commentators on X.
We've had them on before. They're cool.
Just Janine. We have not had Mel before.
I thought we had both of them on for some reason, but okay.
Just Janine. But we will have both, and that'll be a good conversation. Maybe one of the most successful professional poker players who has ever lived, Justin Bonomo, he is going to join us. Justin Bonomo is Jewish, and he has been a very outspoken supporter of the Palestinian people. And he is also somebody who has been very outspoken, I guess, against who I begrudgingly have to admit is the World Series of Poker champion from none other than good old Emerald Hills of Hollywood, Florida, Michael Mizrahi and his bastard family of Zionist scumbags, because they are.
Michael Mizrahi.
Yeah. Yeah. The Mizrahis live over in Hollywood.
I know who the Mizrahis are. So one of the Mizrahis was my kid's pediatrician for a little bit. They were in a big group. And then I switched over to, I like the woman doctor there better. This was when they were little. And then a few years later, or after I had switched practices and whenever, said Mizrahi was arrested for inappropriate relationships with children. And then went to jail. And this was a whole thing. And my kids were never left alone with a pediatrician. I'm always in the room. So I know that nothing happened to my kids, but horrifying.
But I would think that that's always
the guys, because this was that's the same.
Maybe Michael Mizrahi, or however you pronounce it. Robert Mizrahi's brother. His father, again, they're all
spelled differently, but yes, I see who we're talking about.
They're all part of that. You know, the name of the road is Sterling Road, guys, and everything that runs along Sterling, east to west in Hollywood and Pembroke Pines. Let me assure you, that's where the Zionists live.
Well, there's certain streets, like there's the Levy Street in Emerald Hills. Like you drive down certain streets, you know, like everyone on that street, the Levy family. Yeah.
I am very much looking forward to our guest, Peter Saddington, on the 18th. Now, if you guys have not seen Peter Saddington and Matt Kim that do their podcast from Atlanta, they have a great show. You are definitely going to like this conversation. The biggest reason I wanted to get Saddington on this podcast, I've been trying to get him for a while. He is somebody who is very privy to sort of this inside information regarding the banking system and how if you have a certain last name, there are 0% interest rate commercial loans or residential bank loans that you can get because you are part of a certain tribe. And we'll leave it at that. So that's going to be interesting to talk about.
That's on Monday.
That's on Monday.
Okay.
Be a big one. It's going to be a big one.
Look at him. He's huge. Cutie poo. This is, he's cutie poo. Peter Saddington?
Yeah. Okay. It's going to be a really great conversation. I'm totally looking forward to it. And Nathan Robinson will be on Thursday next week. So you guys, we're getting back into the swing of things with our guests. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. And of course, JG 1982 literally emptying his bank account for us because he loves us so much and we love him.
And by the way, just for everyone to realize, I don't want people to do that. Like I don't want anybody to put themselves in financial.
I don't think he's doing that. I think
I
he's
know.
just,
I'm just saying, I don't ever want that.
but that is an extremely generous contribution. We are very grateful. We're very grateful for everybody. Remember, just being here. We've noticed that our friends are showing up in the chats.
Lila.
Lila, Kit Cabello from Hard Lens has been showing up quite a bit. Sabby was here recently.
I would like to do a crossover with the other revolutionary. I would like to do a revolutionary blackout, revolutionary change crossover, and either with, Sabby and Jay or Nick or, I don't know. But I definitely think that would be a good cross collab now that we're rebranded.
Yeah. One revolutionary to another. So yeah, could give Nick a shout. I'm sure he'd be happy to.
Yeah. And they're around our subs. Like they're about our size. So yeah, it'd be a good, yeah.
And of course, we always love Jamal. He's one of our favorites.
He actually asked me last night, he texted me and asked if I would be on this morning, but he wanted me to go 8 o'clock in the morning. He's killing me. I'm like, no, I am not doing it tomorrow.
You should do it. What are you talking about?
I'm not this set from someone who could roll out of bed and just appear on a television, and isn't that nice? But I'm 54 and it doesn't work that way. And I'm not up and ready at 8 o'clock in the morning like that.
Yeah, he could ask me. I mean, I would do it.
I think
if it helps us.
I don't know if I don't know. His people like me. I think his people request.
Fair enough.
Jamal does have a beautiful. I love Jamal.
Yes,
I do.
He is a great.
And I will say this: he busts ass.
Oh yes,
he busts ass. He is constantly working. He does his own production. He does his own editing. He does he's
a jack of all trades. Jack of all trades, 100%. And you guys again are a amazing audience. It really means a lot. Like I said, that you're all here. It helps us grow. I think it inspires us in a lot of ways.
Peter's 42.
Yes, I'm 42.
I know. Somebody was saying they didn't know how old you were. So, Well, thank you, Tony D. Thinks I look amazing. I look great, right? I look great for 70.
Getting up there, Jen. Oh, Lila.
Lila, I'm sorry. Didn't you just celebrate your 40th? How is that possible? Lila was just having her 40th. And no, he could not be your child. You would have to have been what?
A teenager. 12? But technically, hey, listen.
She would have been 12. It's gross.
It is. I wasn't asking for that. Evil Lynn, thank you so much for the $9.99. I sent a link earlier, Tilly versus Kirk at Cambridge Union. I am sure that is a great conversation. The one thing about Charlie is that he always thinks that he is smarter than everybody else, especially if he you were right. Charlie Kirk is the Christian version of Ben Shapiro. He always thinks he's just a step ahead of everybody else until eventually he isn't. Because that's kind of what's going to happen. And he gets, stuck. So to me, we're all recognizing what needs to happen. And I also think we are obligated, in my opinion, that if somebody like Nick Fuentes has as big an audience as he has, and if we start talking about him and his audience starts finding their way to our channel, I have a feeling, just a feeling, that the reaction that we will get from his people versus Charlie Kirk's people is going to be different. Because I do think that a lot of them are hurting, and their anger, their rage at the world comes out.
The Charlie Kirk people?
No, the Nick Fuentes' people. Nick Fuentes' people, they kind of hate the world. Like that's a big part of that makeup, I believe. Whereas somebody like Charlie Kirk, if you're getting the type of people that would typically listen to Turning Point USA and are the type of people that want to come on channels like ours and tell us that from a man's perspective that a woman doesn't have the right to choose, I don't really need to talk to people like that, because there is a level of disconnect with those types of people that we will never find common ground. Because
guys, we've had Rathbone on, and yeah, we should get him on again. He has been having so much fun with his new show. I got to tell you, he's been having so much fun, and a lot of people like put up stuff about him and give him so much attention. Like it is so funny. Like
they're feeding the beast. Just keep doing it. He's so good.
Loves it. It's so funny.
Especially the fact that he got Michael Rappaport to act like a bitch about it.
Michael Rappaport, and he just did one recently that was someone else that called him the fake Galifianakis. Oh, it was Chris Cuomo.
Chris Cuomo. Yeah.
Moron.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. So with that said, smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. We love you all. I will see you Saturday. And
he always has to set it up. Free Palestine, guys.
Good night, guys.